going to have fun. Everything is awesome. Everything should be right. Let's see, yes. And then, yes. We do that for fun. Then we go back. Yeah. It will be more Minecraft. Wow, what a surprise. But oh my god, I fuck music. Let's make the music go away. Oh my god, that sounded like bad. But it will be some Autosport, F1 warm-up weekend, and the race. They did something about Sebastian Vettel. I don't know, Mercedes. I thought Max would go to Mercedes. Now Sebastian Vettel, for some reason, maybe going to Mercedes. And then we have... What more do we have? The F1 world also. He's... what he will go through in... Japanese Grand Prix stuff. But first we'll have... Is Ferrari F1 Revolution closing the gap to Rebel? Yes, they are. You know why? Because even how... If you improve the slightest little thing ever, that is definition closing the gap. But for normal people, I would say that's not closing the gap. I mean, let's see if I can do something. Oh, let's see. Yeah, if I mine these 2 blocks, have I made progress? I mean, yes. Am I closer to be finished to mining out all this? I mean, yes. Will I sooner be done now after mining out these 2 blocks? Yes. But I still have all fucking this to mine out. It did nothing in the bigger scale. And I've not even started to mine out this. So in a way, yes, I am closer to be done because I mine out these 2 blocks. But it means nothing in the bigger scale. I have all this work still ahead of me, so yes, Ferrari's Revolution is closing the gap to Rebel, yes. But if they still can't win races, like from race to race, or even at least being close to winning, I wouldn't say it's closing. That's just one time Mercedes win in the 2022 times. Sometimes you're lucky, and the rest of the races you're unlucky. But maybe they have some more information why the gap is closing. So loud.
After Carlos Sainz claimed victory at the Australian...
Okay, so maybe this is why they want to talk about the closing gap, because Carlos Sainz got a really lucky race when Max Verstappen's car went, or his brakes said no, and Leclerc said maybe no to let's pit early, but then still did it because the team said it. And McLaren didn't have a good car maybe that weekend for fighting for more than trying to get to P2. I mean, Mercedes, like always, is nowhere. And they also DNF both cars, so Carlos Sainz more or less didn't have any to fight for, like, that could fight him for a win. I mean, only was Leclerc, but he's ruined this race as soon as maybe when he didn't qualifying good, and then he pitted early. But let's see.
Grand Prix, there has been renewed optimism regarding Ferrari's trajectory going forward. However, unless there is a seismic shift in Formula One's competitive order, Ferrari is set to equal its longest streak without a title, a lengthy 16 years stretching back to the end of 2008 when the team last won the Constructors' Championship.
16 years. Longest streak. Wonder how McLaren's streak is. Is that even bigger already, or are they just 1 year behind?
Championship.
And Williams need to be even in a bigger streak. And even Lotus. Oh my god.
The team making shockwaves at the start of the year by signing 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton and also focusing on fixing the core issues that have plagued them in recent seasons. There's only one question that arises. Is Ferrari's revolution closing the gap to Red?
Like I said, yes, they are closing. Doesn't mean nothing. I mean, it's. I mean, a Mercedes is also closing, right? And look at how good they are.
Bull. My name is Steph Wentworth, and joining me to discuss this today, we have Jake Boxall Leg. Welcome, JVL. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you for having me on. I'm looking forward to talking all things Ferrari.
Well, yeah, it's all about them today, and it's been, shall we say, a long time since Ferrari have had their last title win. A lot has changed within the team. A lot has changed within Formula One.
Yeah, and soon maybe more Mercedes in India will soon join. The fuck. Where are you, zombie? Oh my god, no beacon. Nope. Where are you, zombie? Here you are. One more zombie. Okay, this was not the plan. Let's see if we can. Let's see. There we can place some torch, and then we place one torch there. And then we mark it for maybe future stuff. Okay, let's go back to Formula. Ferrari's amazing revolution. They will soon win titles and wins, and man, Lewis Hamilton must be happy to see how they progress.
What have historically been Ferrari's biggest issues since 2008?
I think you can sort of cut it into two different camps. You've got designing cars that aren't particularly strong, and conversely, when they do have a good car, a little bit of tactical naivety kind of creeping in. So I guess let's look back at the kind of 2007-2008 period of success. Kimi Räikkönen won the title in 2007. Felipe Massa couldn't quite follow it up in 2008, although he is trying currently in the courts to overturn the Lewis Hamilton title. But Ferrari did win the Constructors' Championship that year.
I mean, wouldn't it be funny if he did? Making so Lewis Hamilton, not even you need to win one more championship. You need to win one more to be equal to Alright, when you finally wins it, you just equal with Michael Schumacher. Again.
Yeah.
Hi.
But the thing is, Ferrari put so much into that season, battling against McLaren, and McLaren put a lot into that season as well. So they weren't really focused on the big technical changes that were taking place in 2009. So that's why Brawn, GP, Red Bull got quite a jump, and then at the start of the season, Toyota as well were probably ahead of those two teams. So Ferrari didn't start that rule cycle off in the best way. And then 2010, it did have a good car, and it had Fernando Alonso on board replacing Raikkonen. So they had the car and they had the driver, but when it came to that Abu Dhabi finale in 2010, that infamous finale.
Abu Dhabi. I thought it would start talking about 2021. That was amazing ending. The justice. What can you say? Justice demands retribution. The holy light. What's its name? Blessing of Kingdoms. Either way, Masi did a great job.
Ferrari decided that it would cover Mark Webber in the pit stops rather than going for Sebastian Vettel. Now, obviously, in hindsight, you can say that was the wrong decision because Vettel was the one that won the title. But by covering off Webber, Alonso got stuck behind Vasily Petrov, where he stayed for the rest of the race. So in those two seasons, you've kind of got bad car, then tactical naivety. 2011 wasn't a great season. It was sort of like an average car. And in 2012, the car started off really, really badly. In testing, it was in really bad shape. But suddenly, the developments were such that the team could, develop it into something that was race winning and title contending.
Nice.
But they've just fallen short on those metrics, and in more recent seasons as well. The Sebastian Vettel era, you did have good cars, but tactically or internally, there wasn't necessarily the kind of, let's say, kind of the vibe in the team that they needed to be successful. And then in more recent seasons as well, 2022, that was sort of riddled with tactical issues when they did have a good car, and Red Bull was able to take advantage of that when their car was overweight. And then last year, obviously, the car just wasn't really good until the final few rounds of the season. So it's kind of been on and off. They've blown hot and cold, and that's been Ferrari's key weakness, I would say, over the last few seasons.
Yeah, so as you've mentioned...
Det är kul, det kokar, för varje match som går så kokar det ner till det avgörande momentet, så det...
we can skip it.
Obviously there's been these big inconsistencies, I'd say, with Ferrari's campaigns, but how does this drought compare to the last 16-year drought, which was from 1984 to 1999, and then obviously the Ferrari dominance with Michael Schumacher? Is this one different?
Oh my god.
Can you see any similarities between this one and the previous?
I think there are quite a few similarities because, especially in that time frame, I guess 1990 was probably the standout season, other than 98 to 99, I guess, of course. 1990, you had Alain Prost in that car, and he was very much a title contender. And obviously, I guess it didn't go his way because of that shunt in Japan between him and Senna. But I guess that's kind of analogous to perhaps 2010, the season we've already discussed, or 2017 or 2018, where Ferrari did have a world championship winning driver. They had Fernando Alonso, they had Sebastian Vettel, and for whatever reason, they just couldn't get the job done. I guess in 2018, Vettel's Suzuka moment, if you like, was completely of his own making at Hockenheim when he shoved it into the wall at the Sachs curve, and suddenly that changed the mentality in the team. And then I guess you have the bad periods as well, like 1992, where they had the twin floor car. It was really, really poor. Engine was poor, and it suffered from blow-by, which is what you get when you've got the air-fuel mixture sort of leaking out of the pistons. So the engine was down on power. I guess that's comparable to 2020, when you had that technical directive where suddenly Ferrari's engine wasn't particularly good anymore. After they had complied, let's say, with the FIA's new technical structure on fuel flow.
Unlucky, so need to change their car.
I guess there are a lot of similarities here. Obviously, now we're in the shift where it's kind of like when Jean Todt took over the team in 1993. There's suddenly a lot more effort. There's this new energy in the team.
That I would say, if Perez is still in Red Bull, and also Max Verstappen, Ferrari could maybe win the construction ship. Probably not the championship, but the points that we get together can maybe secure that for them. So some fun stuff will Ferrari be doing. Let's see.
And now they're able to attract big names like they did back then, and Lewis Hamilton being one of them. And you kind of wonder who's going to follow him to.
Yeah, that will probably make Mercedes even worse.
To Ferrari now, so there's this pervading optimism that this streak can come to an end like the last one.
And with this driver lineup
and the start of a streak for Mercedes
as well, I think the
winless, championless, construction ship less for many years.
The Tifosi, the fans, the team seem to feel very confident that this could come to an end very quickly. But one of the changes that the team's been making over the last 16 years is the rotation of team principals. We've had the likes of Mattia Binotto, Arriva Bene, even current CEO of Formula One, Stefano Domenicali. It's been difficult, but Fred Vasseur was appointed in 2022.
And it start for Mercedes to have the difficulty times. So amazing.
With the goal of rebuilding this team, how would you rate his first 2 years in the role and what he's strived to achieve, and has it been working?
Well, I guess it's kind of like what I said when with Todd coming in back in '93. There's this new sort of renewed energy in the team, and I think let's kind of go back through the previous team principles to kind of work out where Ferrari struggles have lain. So when you had Domenicali, I guess that was a sort of carryover of the Todt era. It was very much paving the way for him to be team principal, but for whatever reason it just didn't work out. And again, I guess we had the 2009 overextension in 2008, which carried on to the next season, and then not getting off to a great start in the hybrid regulations. Domenicali kind of fell on his own sword then. I think poor decisions were made and the team wasn't focusing on the right things under him. It did also sort of coincide with a lot of key technical figures leaving. So Rory Byrne wound down his involvement in the team. Ross Brawn left the team in 2007. So there were a lot of changes going on, and Ferrari didn't really have the pulling power then to bring sufficient replacements in. Under Arriva Bene, things started off really well.
And now it's time for Mercedes to maybe have the same problem. Hopefully.
Under Vettel, I think after the year where Mercedes had kind of dominated in 2014, it was nice to see Ferrari be back at the sharp end. But when Vettel started throwing it off the road in 2018, when the team started making mistakes, an age-old question of Ferrari came back into play, which was fear culture. The team was too scared to make mistakes, and therefore too scared to put their heads above the parapet and come up with innovative solutions to different design ideas. So I guess that's kind of pervaded through, and this is something that Vasseur is trying to change. He wants the team to come into work just with a smile on its face, like turn up to Maranello smiling, confident that they can do a good job, and they've got a target in Red Bull to beat. And I think that's what he's setting. And obviously he's got that pulling power that we've already discussed. Lewis Hamilton worked with him back in GP2 in 2006, where Vassar owned the ART team. Was hugely successful there, and the fact that he's now got that experience, the fact that he's been a Formula One team principal since 2016, he's got a vast amount of experience now. None of his predecessors until, well, when you look back, until Jean Todt had any experience of running a Formula One team, or running a racing team rather. Arriva Bene was a marketing man for Philip Morris. You had Binotto, who was previously a technical director. Domenicali was formerly a sporting director. So with Vassar, you've just kind of got somebody that can provide the gravitas that they need. And I think coming into the team at the start of last season, he didn't turn up and just make widespread changes and go, I want this, and I want this, and I want this, and I want to run the team like this. He took a step back, worked out where Ferrari was going wrong for all of these seasons, and then he made his adjustments and is continuing to make his adjustments. And
I mean, do they actually have information on that? Can they maybe have started doing that right ahead? I mean, you don't know. He might be fired. Probably not. He maybe changed up where the people were maybe working.
I don't think that, Ferrari would have been able to attract Lewis Hamilton if someone like Vassar wasn't in charge.
Oh, definitely. And I think we will come back on to the Lewis Hamilton topic a little bit later on. As you mentioned, we are currently in a bit of a Red Bull dominated era, and Ferrari are essentially trying to chase them down, close that gap.
What? You didn't mention Mercedes? That's mean. Aren't they also fighting to get back?
In 2022 started off really well. Arguably they should have been a lot closer. They fell off a bit in 2023, but as you said, towards the end of the season kind of picked back up again. How do the numbers stack up? How do they look in comparison to Red Bull? And is there definitive evidence
Mercedes numbers looked even better
to that top team right now?
I think there is, and the way that we usually like to do this at Autosport is we look at super times. So a super time is basically the fastest time logged that week during a race weekend. So that could be across all of the sessions, and then you create a ranking depending on a team's kind of how close a team was compared to that super time, and that's expressed as a percentage. So let's compare the start of 2023 to the start of 2024. So what we've done is kind of collated the first 3 races of the season. So in both 2023 and 2024, that was Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and Australia. As a percentage of the fastest time set, so that was as a percentage of basically Red Bull's pace, outright pace, let's say. Ferrari was 0.401% behind. Which it doesn't sound a lot in the grand scheme of things, but in modern Formula One, that's quite a big difference. Comparing that to the same stage this season, it's now 0.24%, so that gap is nearly halved. And if you look at...
where is Mercedes? Are they just above everything?
The relative kind of pace growth of each team. Red Bull has made big improvements over the start of the season compared
Mercedes also, right?
Where it was towards the end of last season. Ferrari's also made its improvements, but it's a lot closer. It's got a lot closer. And Fred Vassar estimates that it's gone from being 1 second behind to now being only 0.4 seconds behind, which is a huge difference. If you do look at the growth of Ferrari over 2023, the improvements that it made. We've got sort of 2 more groups of 3 races, so the Italy, Singapore, Japan weekend. It was comparable to where they are now in pace terms, so it was 0.25%. Now, it did come down at the end of 2023, Brazil, Las Vegas, Abu Dhabi, it was 0.167% off of the fastest, which was Red Bull overall. But that's quite slightly skewed by the fact that Ferrari was faster in Las Vegas on super time. It was the pace setter that weekend. So the fact that it's come to 3 circuits where it wasn't particularly good against Red Bull last year and has massively upped its pace in comparison, it's come a long way. So I guess that's the kind of mathematical proof of how
they are closing. Okay, but they will still be far off champion victory, right?
How far Ferrari's come in the past year.
Wow, we do love a bit of mathematical evidence. Thank you very much for taking us through all of that. We've talked about, obviously, all of the issues that Ferrari have faced in the last few years.
On, Mercedes.
But they cited tyre issues as their biggest problem last year, among other issues, of course. Could you dive a little bit deeper into those issues and how they've kind of managed to get a grip on them this season? Mind the pun.
I enjoyed the pun. So if you kind of look at what you would think is the issue behind tyre wear, you kind of think it was kind of like a suspension setup thing. That's probably what most people would reach for. But actually, if you listen to what Vasseur says, and if you listen to what other teams say as well, this is something that Andrew Jovlin, who's the trackside engineering director at Mercedes, picked up on.
Sure.
It was actually the fact that Ferrari had been able to find more downforce. That's kind of the long and short of it. It's been able to find downforce that has not completely ruined the balance of the car. I think the genesis of this was a floor upgrade in Japan. And again, going back to the super times, I think they were 0.7% off. So actually, that's quite a big gap compared to where Red Bull was, and Ferrari wasn't strong in Suzuka at all. But what it did do was it gave the team a basis of how this new floor works. And this has been remarked on by Vasseur, and he said that the drivers are much more confident with this floor. And the reason we were eating through the tyres is because the drivers were trying to push more to make up for the deficit in the car. They were trying to push more to do the lap times that they should be doing. And so it leaves them with this sort of uncertainty of how far they can take the tyres. And then they're trying to do a certain lap time. The car's not really capable of it, and so it's eating through the tyres. Whereas now, with evolutions of this floor upgrade, with more consistency in the car, thanks to that new floor and developments thereof, drivers don't have to. They can drive a little bit more within themselves to attain the lap times that they need to, and so they're taking less out of the tyres. So it's kind of a confidence issue. The drivers aren't sliding around quite so much. The car just feels a lot more stable. But equally, this isn't something that Ferrari has gone, right, we've fixed that, job done. They want to continue because they know they have to get ahead of Red Bull to beat them in the races. It might have taken a very, very tiny step back relative to Red Bull in qualifying, but in races it's so much stronger. And Charles Leclerc is actually estimating now that their tyre degradation is on par with Red Bull's. It's just about, to beat them, they just need to find pure out-and-out pace, and that's something that they're going to be looking hard at doing as our teams do.
What's your biggest challenge to eating healthy?
Scare mad, maybe.
Schedule.
And how do you combat that?
I usually drink meal shakes when I don't have time to cook or meal prep. It doesn't replace a fresh home-cooked meal, but it helps me get complete nutrition even when I'm in a rush. There's no cooking or waiting, it's just 2 scoops, shake, and that's it.
Any specific brands that you've tried?
I always recommend Plenty Shake
The
by Jimmy
podcast.
Choi. It's developed by dietitians.
The podcast
it has plant
ad.
protein, all the essential vitamins and minerals, healthy carbs, and so much more. And it's only $1.43 per meal.
Wow,
Nice.
that would actually save me so much time and money.
It does. Jimmy Joy is the easiest way to eat healthy. You gotta try it out.
No, you don't.
Streama dina favoriter på TV4 Play.
Time for skipping ads.
Hur du vill.
Excellent. Well, with Ferrari targeting fixing the machinery underneath those 2 drivers, let's look at the both of them, because Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc are potentially and arguably one of the strongest lineups on the grid, and they've got.
I mean, I would say, doesn't say this a lot. I mean, like 10 teams, and they are one of the strongest. Okay, so one of the top 5. Nice.
Got a really close partnership. Charles Leclerc, let's start with him, because at the beginning of 2022 we saw a brilliant battle with Max Verstappen, and they've been fighting each other.
And where was Carlos in that fight? Nowhere. What? That can't be true. He is one of the greats, right? Or he just good?
For years, in karting, coming up through the ranks. So it's so great that we get to see this now in Formula One. Max obviously came out on top.
Yeah,
and had
that I would say that was most the beautiful thing I ever seen. Ferrari and Red Bull up there. The championship is on. No Mercedes, just happy times with Ferrari and Red Bulls. Then sadly it didn't continue for the full year, and then it fell off the next year.
has been on a completely different level for the past few years, but the ultimate question is, do you think Leclerc is on Max's level now that he
Yes,
potentially has the car underneath him that
Carlos Sainz will never be near that.
can challenge? Are they kind of on a par with one another?
I think not yet. I think if you
you
split them
saying?
between qualifying and race, I think Leclerc does have a very, very tiny advantage over Verstappen on single lap pace. And I think that's they're both equally fearless in qualifying. They'll take the car really
I mean,
in its neck and
oh
go.
shit. Where was Max Verstappen before 2021? Oh, he didn't have the car for doing what he wanted. Maybe the same with Leclerc,
And get the
right?
lap time from it. I think Leclerc does take a little bit more risk, which sometimes doesn't fall in his favour. But I think with the car that he's got now, the fact that he's put it on the front row twice this season, he's just been able to go out and get the lap time. And I think that if you put the two of them in equal cars, I would
Skip
say
that.
if they were going to get 100% of poles in the season, I'd say maybe Leclerc would get 60% of them and Verstappen would get 40% of them. That's just sort of my gut feeling. It could be a lot closer than that.
And Carlos Sainz.
I think in races,
Where
I
is
think
he?
Verstappen has the edge, and that's just simply because what you need to drive a race
I'll get it.
is you need to think long term. You need to think about what you're doing in the next. It's kind of like a snooker player, almost thinking, okay, if I play this there, what does this do? And then where am I going to put that ball? Where am I going to put that ball? It's kind of like that. And Max is always sort of thinking 2, 3, 4, 5 laps ahead. I think Leclerc kind of needs to develop that awareness. And I also think
I mean, okay. But the biggest question, can Carlos Sainz do that? Probably not.
he's come quite a long way in terms of race performance and racecraft. So if you look back at 2019, for example, the first year Leclerc had a race-winning car, he had that brilliant battle with Verstappen in Austria, and Verstappen put a really, really robust move on him for the lead of the race. It was up at turn 3, I think it was. Made that overtake, and Leclerc ended up going off the road, and he was seething about it after the race. He was like, I can't believe that move was allowed to stand. Max has been really robust here, and I don't like this. But actually,
True.
after he had a bit of time to think about it, he was like, okay, this is where I need to toughen up. I need to be a little bit more like that if I need to go and win races. So fast forward to Monza that season, he goes and puts a similar move on Lewis Hamilton to go and win the race. So I think he's come a long way, and I think he's not really been challenged.
Hamilton washed.
But he's still got the the kind of mental Rolodex that he can fall back on if he finds himself in that position again. So basically, a long story short, I don't think he's quite up there with Verstappen, but I think give him the opportunity and give him a car where he's frequently fighting at the front, and I think he'll be there.
Definitely, I would tend to agree. Leclerc is going to be at Ferrari, however, for the next foreseeable future, as he has extended his contract as well, and Ferrari are kind of putting all their eggs in his basket. But if we move on to the other side of the garage and talk about Carlos Sainz, he
don't.
is out of a seat for 20.
I wonder why. Is it because he's so good that Ferrari don't want him? Or is just Lewis Hamilton so much better?
2025, as Ferrari did decide to replace him with 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, which is it's a difficult decision for Ferrari when you've got a 7-time world champion.
Difficult? No, it's super easy. I mean, I would have done that. And I don't even like Lewis Hamilton. I would pick him before Carlos Sainz. Oh shit. Yeah, you went the wrong way. And you scared me. Jump scare. Weirdest jump scare ever. You should have waited. That was soon coming. too early, my friend. But not a difficulty choice.
You're knocking on your door
choice.
asking for a seat. It's hard to say no, isn't it? But do you think Ferrari have made the right decision with?
Yes, they have. Man, there was never a wrong decision to remove him and put Lewis Hamilton in it. The thing you should ask for, why did Mercedes not try to keep him?
Signing this lineup of Lewis
it
Hamilton
so
and
wash-
Charles Leclerc and just kind of leaving Carlos Sainz for his few years at Ferrari and to move
What
on
a
elsewhere.
family.
I think in the context of recent results, it's a difficult one to call now. Especially, you know,
Yeah, after the race now, they should start questioning if that was the right. I mean, I'll just look at Lewis Hamilton. He have not won since 2021. I mean, Josh Russell won before him. That's sad. He's so washed.
you know, Sainz has been he was so good at the end of last year. I guess he kind of tailed off towards.
He was good last year. Really? Who ended P2 in the championship?
Was the very end, but in the second half, he came out of the blocks fighting. Monza was a brilliant race. Singapore was just a tactical masterclass, and
Oh shit, I mean 2022 was that. 2023 was the nice year for Perez when he finally got the P1. Or P2 mean. Oh, Lewis Hamilton was the guy that got almost the second second place.
in science you have someone that is able to kind of make those
Oh,
decisions
I need
on the
no
fly. Like,
touches
how many
on
times
that
over
floor.
a race weekend do you hear him making the calls on the radio? He just has such brilliant awareness of
Yeah, he was so brilliant 2022 in Silverstone that he was so aware that Leclerc had a broken car that he still didn't drove faster than him. And also, when Leclerc finally got past him, he started to vanish until the safety car, and they chose Carlos Sainz before Leclerc. Mostly because maybe his car was damaged, and Carlos Sainz hold Leclerc so long up, so he didn't have enough time to maybe go and pit before. So yeah, that awareness.
what's going on. So I do think you lose a little bit of that, and I do think that Hamilton can make those calls, but it's usually after. I don't know. I guess it's after the fact. You kind of hear him sort of fighting on the radio about, oh, why did we do this afterwards? Whereas Sainz would say, no, we're not doing this. We're doing.
Wait, you mean Lewis Hamilton can maybe? That's also one thing that I not think it will happen, but it could happen. That Lewis Hamilton will agree. He would do the Leclerc stuff. He would say yes to do stuff that he maybe don't like, that ending up punish him a lot. And then Leclerc will get the Carlos treatment. Get to do all the right calls. And maybe he will only be the Ferrari driver that will win races. And then we have Lewis Hamilton that doesn't win anything. Man, that beautiful future will be amazing. You're in a Ferrari, but you get not any win. But you help them to secure the construction championship.
So yeah, I do think you lose a little bit of that kind of tactical awareness, but what you have in Hamilton is just absolute pace. You have all of the qualities the seven-time champion can bring. He can bring a fresh perspective of what Mercedes been doing for the last few years, good and bad, I suppose, in recent seasons. But I think it's going to be a really potent lineup in 2025. In Leclerc you've got someone that's just crazy fast. In Hamilton you've got somebody that he can put together the best races of anybody. And I think for Leclerc it would be a good thing as well to have somebody like that to learn from. With Sainz and Leclerc, you know what you're going to get. You know you're going to get more or less the same as what we've had the last 3 seasons. One driver that's really out and out fast, one driver that doesn't have the highs, but he doesn't have the lows either. Do you continue with that, or do you sort of take a punt on, getting Lewis Hamilton to the team? I think it's a risk you have to take, and it does suck for Sainz because he's been so brilliant over the last few seasons. But I think because of that, he's got so many opportunities to find a really good seat going forward. So I think it probably does benefit both parties in the end. And I think the door's probably going to always be open should Sainz ever want to go back.
Or not.
Absolutely. Well, it should be very interesting.
Then
to see
they
how
have
Ferrari's
Oliver
fortunes
Behrman.
will change throughout 2024 and into 2025 as well. And I'm sure we'll find out exactly what they have in store for us. But hopefully for the rest of this season, Ferrari can continue to give Red Bull a little bit of a headache, as us fans would love to see more competition at the front of the grid. JBL, I want to thank you very much, and do be sure to check out Autosport.com to read Jake's article all about Ferrari, with all the mathematical stats in there for you. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with all things F1 on this channel. Until next time, thank you very much for watching.
Thank you. Oh my god.
Icing? Eller inte icing?
Oh shit. Oh my god. I'm gonna will not watch this ad when it's done so mean. I mean, the whole clip. Is Ferrari F1 revolution closing the gap to Red Bull? Yes, they are, but how much? Not enough. Nice. But now, weekend warm-up 2024 Japanese Grand Prix F1 Nation! F1
This is the
It's
circuit
F1.
where championships have been won and legends have been made, but Formula One has never visited Suzuka this early in a season or this early in the year.
Nice!
Sakura season. The cherry blossoms are out here at the majestic Suzuka circuit.
Wait. Oh, that's why. I was thinking, like, the fuck? It can't be... Why is so weird? Because this wall. Here we have what I was looking for. Okay, back
the
to...
Japanese Grand Prix. Hello, folks, and welcome to your weekend warm-up with me and him, where he is Lawrence Barretto and I am Will Buxton, and it is great to be back in Japan.
Is it?
It's so good. I love Japan anyway. Visiting here, the people are great, the food is great, the circuit is great. But coming here in the spring...
I mean, in almost every anime I've seen, the love for food is shown very often. So that could be true. But one day I want to see someone that just can eat the food without even caring anything about the food. Like it's just a normal meal. Where you celebrate, it's like your first ever time eating anything good.
Springtime with the cherry blossoms out makes the country even more beautiful. The fans have been here already. It's media day. I saw them streaming into the circuit this morning. They had 3 hours in this pit lane to kind of have a look at the garages. They just do this event really, really well around here.
They do. It is much cooler than we are used to here. We landed yesterday to torrential rain. It should be dry for most of this weekend, but rain is forecast again.
Red Bull fans,
race day
Ferrari.
On
Fuck
Sunday.
me.
But we've got
Mercedes.
so much to discuss, so much to talk
Alfa
before we
Romeo
get on to the
said.
topic of the weather and of the Grand Prix itself. Lawrence, Media Day, always so busy here at the circuit, and after the Australian Grand Prix, a lot to dissect, a lot to talk through. Of course, Max Verstappen is still your World Championship leader, but only by 4 points after he DNF'd. And we're back at Suzuka after Carlos Sainz has stopped that incredible Max Verstappen run. He did it last year in Singapore. He did it this year in Australia.
Yeah, I think it was...
Carlos Sainz is so mean to Max Verstappen. He's trying to set the records, and then just Carlos Sainz say no. You're not allowed to get more records. That's, and they say he should be a Red Bull teammate. He will just ruin his record all the time.
Christian Horner, who was saying that Carlos Sainz has become Max Verstappen's nemesis, hasn't he? Kind of stopping that run. Carlos is very much a driver in form, and he heads here hopeful to continue that. But I was talking to him earlier, and he was saying, look, this is a Max Verstappen circuit. This is a Red Bull circuit. And Max was pretty confident when he was talking in the presser. But he's going to want to get down to business and reassert his authority on this championship. Because like you were saying, the championship's close.
Yeah.
And he hasn't got that cushion like he had this time last year when he came here and off that back of that defeat in Singapore.
And of course, Carlos Sainz wins, which means a George Russell DNF, and I'm giving you all of the tips because it's time for the 60-second recap. Lawrence Barretto, are you ready?
Okay, I'll give it a good go. Max Verstappen started on pole position.
Okay, let's see what happened. Yeah, he started his car. The car lost at least one lap. Then some smoke was starting to be seen. And the question is, like, the fuck, is the car broken? What's happening? And then it started to smoke even more. And then it's just, okay, it's enough. And then just learn that it's the brakes and everything. And then Carlos Sainz just had a really boring race. He just led every lap, almost. And the good part was Mercedes both DNF. The points, the points Yuki Tsunoda got, that was so nice. One more bad race for Stake F1 team. Kick Saber. McLaren had somewhat a good race. Aston Martin had. Man, Alonso made a brilliant move to make Russell crash out. Have you ever seen you have seen Michael Schumacher crashing in cars to make them DNF. Alonso make it in a whole new level. He makes a car behind you just crash out. So beautiful. And double DNF function, that's amazing.
Position, Carlos Sainz, incredible effort to get the front row of the grid alongside him in P2 after that surgery.
Carlos Sainz should have been there
16 days ago. Carlos put a ton of pressure on him over the first lap and a half. And actually,
oh yeah, I think if Leclerc had been there, he would have led the championship.
He passed Max on pure performance, or so we thought.
Oh yeah. But you had to say it for some reason.
There was smoke coming out of Max Verstappen's Red Bull, and it was the brake disc that had actually stuck to the brake pad, exploded as we just saw there in the pit lane. That put him out of the race. First time that Max had retired for more than 2 years. Further back, you have Charles Leclerc kind of pushing up front. The Ferraris look very strong here, and the McLarens look strong too. Checo Perez didn't really step up, did he? And couldn't really kind of get that podium position or a win. The Red Bull really would want him to do so. We had a good little battle between the McLarens. I say battle, actually the team asked Oscar Piastri to move over for Lando Norris, he was quicker, and that was a heartbreak for the McLaren fans, because obviously it was a home Grand Prix for Oscar Piastri. We just saw there George Russell had that crash when he was chasing Fernando Alonso. Alonso crossed the line in P6, demoted to P8 after the checkered flag. You had a podium of Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris.
I'd say that's about 70 seconds, but better than I could do. Well done. Quite an action-packed Australian Grand Prix there. Of course, a double DNF for Mercedes, but the big story, Carlos Sainz returning from having his appendix taken out to really dominating that race. He is the man that everybody is talking about in the paddock.
Yeah, but it shouldn't. No. Like, this talk about him is like, it's so unnecessary. Hey, fun to him to maybe be talked about, but this was not. I mean, it was one race, and it would probably be the last race he win for Ferrari.
Weekend. because of course he's jobless
At least this year.
right now, and he made that point after the Grand Prix. I am jobless. And he's putting in great performances like that. And if it wasn't for taking off the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix for having his appendix taken out, I'd say would probably be leading the World Championship
He probably would be leading the World Championship, and that win really couldn't have come at a better time for Carlos. Like you said, out of a seat for next year. There are 13, I think, available, but at the moment it's unclear whether he's going to end up at Red Bull and Mercedes and Aston Martin, maybe it's Sauber before they become Audi. So that kind of win puts a little bit of pressure, I think, on the other teams to try and make that decision a little bit sooner, because Carlos doesn't want to hang about.
No.
He wants to nail his future down as soon as possible, and he wants to get the best available
Go
seat.
to Williams.
He's going to want a seat that can kind of give him a car that can win races, because what, he's turning 30 this year. He's got to be sensible about what he's looking for in the next couple of years. Probably doesn't want so much of a project, and so he wants to look at the projects like Red Bull, like Aston Martin, like Merc, that can give him that car to get the very best out.
That I would say Mercedes is probably the closest thing he would go to. I don't think Red Bull will care enough to sign him. Aston Martin already have Alonso. And if he don't trust Audi / stake F1 team kick Sauber, then it will just be Mercedes he will go to.
Out of him, because at the minute, who is performing better than Carlos Sainz aside from Max Verstappen? He is in the form of his life.
No.
Fair. He spoke
or in his life, yes, but in Formula 1 life, no. Then you have Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, probably maybe Norris. That will be, and soon Oscar Piastri, that will be above him.
The press earlier today.
And of course,
Carlos,
Max Verstappen.
can we come to you now? Quick health update. Are you back to 100% fitness now?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, been riding my bike this week. Stayed in Australia for a week. And,
riding your bike?
Started going back to the gym.
Did you listen to the song also?
Not lifting heavy numbers like I used to do in the past, but at least I can get my training done, and I'm feeling back to 100%. Yeah.
And what about performance? Great weekend in Melbourne, obviously. Can you maintain that here at Suzuka?
Well, we'll see. No, I think it's important, like I've always said in the past, no, to turn the page quickly, in the good and in the bad. I think obviously coming from a good is more difficult to turn the page, because you want to stay enjoying the moment. But I turned it on Monday, started focusing my training and being back as fit as possible for.
So the answer is probably not. Max will probably be better, so don't get any hopes up.
For Japan, also because it's going to be a challenging track for us. I think last year was one of our most challenging ones in reference to a Red Bull. We were, I think, 7 or 8 tenths off 4 or 5 months ago here. So it's time to see where we are this year and see if we can be at least closer and enjoy a bit more this amazing track.
Charles Leclerc will probably be closer, but not you, Sally.
We enjoyed it last year because for me it's one of my favorite ones, if not my favorite.
Great to hear from Carlos Sainz, who, as you say, is performing at.
I mean, wouldn't it be funny if, because he threw his what do you call that?
For me, it's one of my favorite ones.
Oh my god, gloves is probably closest, right name. That I don't know, because I think he did that just after he went out the car. So the numbers when he done go and weight him could be different, but I think he got some new gloves. But wouldn't it be funny if he couldn't use the new gloves? The old ones have now disappeared in the. Yeah, because they would probably not want to give that up, and then makes him not get the win. Man,
if not my favorite.
That will be not funny for him.
Great to hear from Carlos Sainz, who, as you say, is performing at such a high level. I was joking with him on text in the week, and I said, "Who needs an appendix?" Anyway,
you know what? He's carrying around an appendix keyring, so he still needs a kind of appendix. It's just on a little keyring.
I love it. Well, and the fun part is, of course, is that he must be much lighter now that he doesn't have his appendix. But we were joking about that. We worked it out. It only equates to about 0.003 of a second the
Every
weight
little
loss.
helps, though.
So every little helps. The rest of it's all Carlos. You can hear more from him later in the weekend, your pre-race show, an interview between Lawrence and Carlos. Now, Charles Leclerc. He's second in the World Championship, 4 points behind Max Verstappen, also doing a great job.
Sorry, Paris. Oh, let's see. I think I planted 5 points. Where do we have? Let's 4 points. Yeah, 5 points for Sergio Perez. So the championship for Sergio Perez is on. Then we have 11 for Carlos Sainz. Let's see. Oh my god, Lando Norris is far off. But if he succeeds, what I hope he will, maybe a great win in the race. He will at least maybe get past Carlos Sainz if he's lucky. And then the most beautiful name with 8 points, 1 point behind the GOAT Lance Stroll. I mean, Lewis Hamilton is so washed, he's worse than Lance Stroll. That's bad. And hopefully more points for Yuki Tsunoda. Oh my god, Yuki Tsunoda can soon lead the championship against Lewis Hamilton. Man, let Lewis Hamilton have one more bad race. That will be fun. Let's see. Okay, go back.
They were so closely matched all the way through last year, closely matched again this year. But Charles saying today he wouldn't have...
Oavsett om det går 1, 3 eller till och med 7 dagar så är rakningen precis lika effektiv och skonsam.
Detaljer är allt. Så jag behöver en trimmer som hanterar varje detalj som ett proffs.
Yeah, go away.
Hitta rätt Brown-verktyg för din stil.
Med Pågens färska hönekaka är sommaren bara
vi kan skippa
I don't think fought for the win in Australia. The team said don't fight for it, but he felt that Carlos had the upper hand on him.
I think Charles is in a really interesting position at the minute because he had a decent result, but actually in terms of how he feels inside the car, he doesn't feel very...
Oh my god, he had a almost good result. He didn't feel great in the car. I mean, doesn't that say more about him than Carlos Sainz? Eller more about Carlos Sainz? Man, Leclerc feels he did a good job. He's P2. When Carlos Sainz maybe do a good job, he's P3.
He doesn't feel like he's getting the most out of it. He doesn't feel like he's nailing the setup early in the weekends. And because of that, that's probably why he was talking about not being able to win in Australia. So I think when he starts to unlock all of that potential, gets a bit more comfortable with the car.
And then it will be Monaco and Baku wins. And then Ferrari will have 3 wins. And after the Japanese, maybe McLaren 1 win. And Mercedes will have 0.
Be a bit more on par, then I think we'll see him fighting Carlos a little bit harder. But at the minute, Carlos seems to have taken to a duck to water with this Ferrari and seems the more comfortable for the team.
It's confidence for Carlos, isn't it?
Oh, it's always confidence. He's a confidence driver. I think we saw that all the way through his time at McLaren, through that time at Toro Rosso as well. When he feels like he's got a car underneath him that does what he wants it to do, he's almost 100% consistent in getting the very best result out of the car. I think we've seen that throughout his career, and we're seeing that right now.
So even having missed that race in Saudi Arabia, Carlos Sainz is just 11 points off the championship lead. We arrive here in Suzuka, and this is what the championship standings look like. Of course, Max Verstappen up at the top, but by a...
No, I really looked at this. Man, Lewis Hamilton at P10. He's so washed, right? I mean, I look at Russell. 18. 26 points for Mercedes. 26. Man. Let's see, 26. So, wait. Do I really count that right? Yeah, it's 26. So Oscar Piastri or Lando Norris had equally much, almost, more points than Mercedes together. Mercedes drivers together. That's sad.
very reduced margin of just those 4 points. Sergio Perez 1 further point behind Charles Leclerc in third. Then it's Sainz, Piastri on 28, 1 point ahead of Lando Norris on 27. Then Russell, Alonso, Stroll and Hamilton. And Lawrence, as we've been discussing all the way through this year, those top 5 teams so closely matched.
Yeah, true, so close. That's why Lewis Hamilton and Russell together have less points than Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris.
So little between them, and a real...
I mean, that's so... Stop lying. It's not close. Not even close. Come on.
Kind of...
And Lando Norris, were he close to win the race? In Australia? No, he was not. Why? Because they're so close. Yeah, true.
Between them and the remainder of the field. But that's your top 10 from your top 5 teams.
Yeah, and I think what's really exciting is we've had those 4 teams behind Red Bull last year really close together, whereas the difference is this year, if you put a little bit of pressure on Red Bull or they make a mistake, those teams are there to capitalise, and I think that's what...
No, Ferrari will be, then McLaren, then maybe even Aston Martin. Then we have Mercedes.
Makes these next few races exciting, that if Red Bull aren't on the top of their game, if they have those reliability problems, or if they are put under pressure, they can make mistakes. And I think that's what we should be excited about coming into Japan, China, Miami, the next couple of races.
Yeah, I mean, it took until
and then it will never
for
happen.
Red Bull to get beaten.
Yep.
And it's only taken 3 races this year. McLaren ended last season as, aside from Red Bull, the team to beat. Probably the second fastest on merit out there. They aren't this year, but they were on the podium last time out in Australia with Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri having a great race as well. But a tumultuous start to the season for them once again, Lawrence. News during the week of a shake-up within the technical department. Once again, at pretty much the same time as it was last year.
Yeah, is that the news? I heard something that someone left. I don't know if it was McLaren, but someone after just... I mean, it felt like just some months and then the person was away. But let's see.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of chatter, a lot of hope when they brought David Sanchez on board from Ferrari. They brought him alongside Rob Marshall from Red Bull. They changed this technical structure to have 3 pillars underneath Andrea Stella. This was the future, and then it seems like it's become clear that David Sanchez's role wasn't quite what he signed up for, what the team thought it was going to kind of unfold, and they've moved things around. Rob Marshall was now the clear...
Oh my god, don't fucking music. Go away. So mean.
Chief designer. They've moved some responsibilities around. Andrea Stella is looking after the performance side of things until they work out what they're going to do. But I do think these are little things. They're the little changes where I
don't want to have problems with F1 with the fucking music. It's so mean playing so much music.
I feel like Andrea's kind of got control of the car at the minute. I feel like the team are still in a good position. I think you and I were talking earlier about how the team say there's some problems they need to fix that might take the whole year. Not ideal, but still they're still getting a podium in Australia. They still come here, a circuit where they perform very strongly, as the 2nd or 3rd best team. Look, if they've got problems to fix and they're in that position, I think they'd be pretty happy.
This is it. Lando was saying something very similar earlier today when I spoke to him. He said, it's not been the start of the season that you might have hoped for. He's like, no, actually we're really feeling pretty good about where we're at, but particularly here, they're strong in the high-speed stuff.
Yeah, and that I would say, they can be so amazing. McLaren or Norris get his car super good. He maybe is driving after Max Verstappen the whole race. Then it starts raining. The pit stops makes so Lando Norris is now P1. Max maybe P2, maybe worse, who knows. But that leads to an first Lando Norris wins. And all the sadness with rain in Russia will finally be over, because now he have, thanks to rain, a win against Max Verstappen. Man, it could have been against Lewis Hamilton also. God damn it. But at least he will get a win. Maybe like the last lap he will lead the lead the race and then win.
This circuit, with a couple of slow bees exceptions, is all about the medium, high-speed, long-flowing sections, the famous 130R. Of course, we know this is a high-speed circuit. Could this be a weekend where McLaren find themselves back up at the top and gunning for a podium?
I do think so. Like, I think if you ask Ferrari, they'll say that McLaren are a greater threat to Red Bull here this weekend. I think Red Bull are generally considered the favourites. But I think McLaren, especially when you've got Lando and Oscar operating at a very high level together, if you've got a Checo who's not delivering, that's what the kind of pincer move.
Or a Carlos Sainz that didn't deliver anything 2022. Who knows?
Movement that you maybe need to put some pressure on Max. And then if you've got Carlos and Charles performing strongly, that's even more pressure, isn't it, on a Red Bull team that have shown that if you put them under pressure, they might just crack.
A beautiful new livery on the McLaren.
I mean, the brace was gone before even they got any pressure, so Carlos Sainz didn't make, so the car went bad. The car was already bad before it, so stop coping about this fucking F1 season.
And this weekend, Japanese artist Miltz, I believe is the correct way to pronounce that, has designed a stunning livery on the McLaren, which Lando Norris will be piloting around this phenomenal Suzuka circuit. Lando.
Wait, not Oscar Piastri?
2 weeks on from a decent result in Australia. Was that a bit of the shot in the arm that the team needed?
It helps. It's not. I don't think we needed it, but it's always welcome. And yeah, the team did a great job. It was a good weekend for us, and it's just a boost. You know, motivates everyone to want it more than just once. So it's a good kind of kickstart to the start of the year. Yeah, so it was a good weekend.
Good. Is there any frustration in the team that, after that incredible strong end to last season, that you weren't quite able to pick up kind of where you left off at the end of last year?
No, I think we have. I think we've done exactly that. I think Ferrari have taken a bigger step. So when we're just comparing to Ferrari, I think Ferrari done a very good job, and hats off to them. But our gaps to Red Bull, our gaps to everyone else, like our gap to Red Bull is probably smaller, and our gap to everyone else behind is probably bigger. So, no, I think I'm very happy with how we've done. Of course, you always want to be the closest to Red Bull and the team fighting. But Ferrari were very good last year. You know, they had what, 6 pole positions or even more. They were always very quick, and as much as we were the second quickest team throughout the end of last year on average, there were still plenty of races we were a lot slower than Ferrari. So Ferrari have just improved in certain places like the high speed, and now they're an extremely competitive car. But they've always been one of the best in slow speed for years. They've just always struggled in high speed. Now they've improved it. They're where they should be, you know. So, and we have the opposite problem. We're very good in high speed, always have been, but we struggle in the slow speed, and that's what we're trying to improve. So, no, I'm very happy. I don't think that's the case at all. I'm confident we're making good progress, and we've started exactly how we want to.
It's good to hear from Lando Norris there, a driver who is under contract for next year alongside Oscar Piastri. One of few
that Peter Villeneuve think was a bad idea for some reason. But why do you sign for McLaren when Mercedes exists? Yeah, why do Lewis Hamilton leave the team if Mercedes are so great? Could it be because the team isn't great anymore? You don't want to be stuck in Mercedes anymore? Russell joined the team the wrong time. We should have joined 2021, but he... Man, wonder how that would change. Could Lewis Hamilton have won it more easily? Or would Max won it more easily that year? If Russell was in the car? Hey, let's see.
Teams won't be making any changes to their lineup for 2025. Right, you mentioned him earlier. Sergio Perez. Great first 2 races, doing exactly what was expected of him, finishing second behind Max Verstappen. But we deem that that's his job. That's his
and where did Lewis Hamilton finish? Come on, hopefully they mention it and be really proud of that.
Role is to be there when things go wrong for Max, and yet in Australia he wasn't. Had the penalty after qualifying, which dropped him back down the grid.
Yeah, so mean.
Then there was talk about a bit of damage to his car during the Grand Prix, but he himself said, and I spoke to him earlier today, ultimately they went the wrong direction and they were just absolutely gunning their tyres, and because of that just didn't feel comfortable during the Grand Prix itself. With that in mind, do we think that Max would have struggled as well to have fought, or was that a Checo only issue?
I mean, if that's true, he's struggling because of the floor. Max would probably have also struggled if he also got the damage on the floor.
Generally, Max has had a margin on Checo and just the general way that car operates. So I think even if Max has struggled slightly, I think he maybe been able to mask it slightly more than Checo has done. That said, you mentioned how well Checo's done in these first couple of races. It's because he's fundamentally more comfortable with the car. He starts off on a better kind of rhythm through the weekend, and I think because he got lost essentially on that weekend, that kind of maybe made it look slightly worse than it was. But I do think it's interesting that he comes here again.
Time. And we can't skip it.
On the back of a race where it wasn't to their Red Bull's liking, you know, they wanted him to step up. A podium should have been a minimum, really, for him when a Max Verstappen doesn't finish, and he didn't deliver that. So the pressure's a little bit more on him here, but I think...
Yeah, the pressure of the 3 races is a big pressure on Sergio Perez. He had a 1 bad race. I mean, he at least got points. What did Max do?
He can take a bit more confidence in the fact that he does seem to understand this Red Bull a bit more this year. And so if he can start the weekend strongly, people are going to forget about that week in Australia pretty quickly.
Yeah, he says he reckons that Red Bull will be...
And hopefully... I mean, in my opinion, I want Norris P1, Leclerc P2. I want P2, but Max will probably get P2. And then Leclerc P3. So, if P4 is in people's eyes good, then I would say yes, he will finish in a good place. That's if P4 is good for people.
Be susceptible at most front limited circuits if they don't get on top of the tyre problems they've got at the moment. Lawrence, after the first 2 races, if you'd have asked me, I think Checo would be surefire to re-sign for Red Bull for next year. After a 3rd Grand Prix in Australia, where, as you say, he under-delivered, question marks again being raised about his place at the team for next year. Christian Horner openly flirting with the possibility of bringing Carlos Sainz back into the fold. Is Checo safe?
Yes.
Or are Red Bull looking elsewhere?
I don't think anyone in that second seat is ever going to be safe alongside Max Verstappen.
I mean, the fine safe. I mean, will Christian Horner send assassin on him to make him disappear? Probably not. I mean, in that way he will be super safe. He can go away with his life. No, I would say super safe. But if you mean safe in sitting in a car, I will probably also say yes. Because why would they pick Carlos Sainz when I have Perez? It's so weird. Why?
I do feel for Checo because, like you said, he's done the job that they wanted in the first couple of races, and yet this speculation.
I mean, they should do like Ferrari. Let me pick Charles Leclerc.
Arises, but the fact of the matter is he needs to be consistent. He needs to be delivering those performances every single weekend, and he didn't do that in Australia. And then you've got a performance like Carlos Sainz, 16 days off the surgery table, goes to win the Grand Prix in a car that arguably wasn't the best around Australia. Then of course it's going to put the pressure. It's really interesting that Christian even mentioned Carlos's name. I do believe that Red Bull is a possibility. I do believe that Red Bull are interested in potentially bringing Carlos.
No, I believe more in Mercedes taking him. Not because they want him, because they need him.
Sainz, but they have got their choice, haven't they, of drivers for that seat.
And the choice may be even larger if Max Verstappen ultimately decides to leave. This is the thing with the driver market this year, and what we saw with Lewis leaving Mercedes is that even the seats that we assumed were locked in might not be. There are clauses if certain people end up leaving Red Bull that may leave Max Verstappen as a free agent, and if Max goes, the entire driver market implodes. How much do you think the rest of this paddock is ultimately waiting on that Max Verstappen decision as to whether he stays or goes?
So I've talked to 3 driver managers today, and they all said that thing. They're all waiting on Max Verstappen and what is going to happen to him, which is ironic given he's already got
that will be so funny. He goes the whole year without saying anything. And then on Christmas, He says, I will be staying in at Red Bull. So that makes all the people have a lot of work on the holiday.
Contract till the end of 2028. One described the driver market as a bit of a mess because at the minute there are so many permutations that it depends on where one driver slots in one position before the rest of it kind of plays out. And until we get that first move, it's so difficult to call.
Do you think Red Bull will, if Max leaves, do you think they'd make the move? The much vaunted, much highly anticipated...
Oh! I mean, if Max moves, I hope Ricciardo and Perez will be in the Red Bull, and then can Lawson be in Visa Cash App or be Formula 1 team. And it will be maybe... I mean, I don't want to see Carlos Sainz Ricciardo struggle, but if he does, then maybe Perez will be the championship.
Pated move for Lando Norris that they've been trying to make for years.
You know, history suggests, of course, they're going to have a go at Lando. Why would they not have a go at Lando? They've been trying basically every single year. And yeah, okay, he's got a contract to McLaren, but that hasn't really stopped them in the past. And why would they not try to go after the driver they really want? And, you know, Lando's thinking will probably change slightly if Max isn't at the team. I know he's very happy at McLaren. He calls them their family. And I'm sure at this moment in time he sees himself there, but he doesn't know what's going to happen when the phone goes, does he?
Well,
and how he's going to feel.
Lewis said the same about Mercedes, didn't he? But off he goes to Ferrari, who steps into that seat. Still one of the big questions I think we both
leave Mercedes forever.
But a difficult race for Mercedes in Australia. Double DNF for them. Obviously Lewis with that engine issue. George with the contact at the end. I was going to say contact with Fernando. It wasn't. It was just contact with the barrier. Yeah. So here's the replay of Lewis. A difficult weekend for Mercedes. A difficult start to the season. Do they just have to write off this this rules era and just focus now on 2026, or do you think they can actually turn this?
No,
around?
They can't.
They're just a brand that can't afford to write it off. They've got to be delivering.
And even better, if they write this year off, then they will lose Hamilton and maybe more people, so they can maybe write off the whole F1 team.
Or throw everything at it to try and find a solution, but it is getting that feeling that they can't quite get on top of these ground effect cars, and it's not the work of a moment. They freely admit that. Lewis was talking in Australia about how this car isn't the evil sister of the last two, and even today he was talking about being more optimistic about getting something out of this car. But we're talking about little steps, right? We're not talking about finding the magic bullet or the silver bullet like Toto always talks about that's going to bring them into contention. So it kind of feels like Mercedes might be trailing for the foreseeable, and that must be really hard for George particularly, because he's going to be at the team for a while. But Lewis, for the final season, who wants to go out on a high?
Yeah, he wants to live on the high, and he will live in the dirt.
Quotes out of Toto
off the horse.
I wanted to punch myself in the nose. He's changed his plans to be here this week.
And it's just not dirt, it's a place where pigs are, so it's really smelly, dirty, and and now he's soon in Ferrari.
Due to be coming to the Japanese Grand Prix. Also quotes out of him saying Lewis isn't looking over the fence at Ferrari. He's not, he's not looking towards them. But it kind of feels like when those statements come out, you almost feel that it's because he is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
I do know what you mean.
You don't make those kind of comments unless you're trying to diminish the perception of something that is actually happening.
True.
Make no mistake, this is the hardest point in Toto Wolff's career since he joined Mercedes. Like, he's never had difficulties like he's encountering now. It's never gone on for this long. He's always seemed to kind of weather the storm, or the team have, under his leadership.
True.
So I'm not surprised really that they're struggling. So he's struggling so much at the minute to kind of get on top of these things. That's why he's coming here, like you said, to Japan. Lewis said earlier that he's completely focused on getting the job done here at Mercedes, but how can he not be looking at Ferrari? Because he's got to be looking at his next chapter, right? And he wants to hit the ground running at Ferrari and make a real splash when he gets there.
We do, of course, have to talk about the race-ending incident for George Russell at the end of the Australian Grand Prix. Fernando Alonso slapped with a post-race penalty.
So mean. I mean, it's clearly Russell just drive almost into him. And his problem that he doesn't brake.
Now look,
Fernando just take the corner really slowly.
Dangerous
and Russell
driving, reckless driving.
goes
That's
away.
the incident. That's what happened. George got all caught up and into the barrier.
His problem,
Lawrence.
not Alonso's
Was it a
problem.
brake test, or
It was
did
not a brake test.
George just get?
No, Hamilton's brake test against Sebastian Vettel, I would say, is more a brake test than this. Alonso just went slow.
Spooked a la Singapore last year and following another car and put it in the wall.
Well, when George was talking
There
today,
goes George Russell.
he was saying he'd been looking down at his steering wheel at that point every time he'd got to that corner just to make a
And
little
here comes
adjustment.
George
And this time when he
Russell.
looked back up, the car wasn't in front of him, wasn't 500 metres in front, it was right on the gearbox of it. So, from George's perspective...
Yeah, after Russell didn't brake enough. That's his problem.
He got caught out in that moment in time. Fernando reacted slightly differently. Look, it's up to the stewards to decide whether or not it was the right or the wrong thing. They gave him...
Yeah, and the stewards did 2021 Abu Dhabi decision, so no complaints there, right?
Fernando Alonso the penalty, but I think when George was talking today, he did say, look, if they hadn't have given a penalty, it might have sent a dangerous precedent going forward.
Yeah, maybe they should look over all the history of Formula 1. Did this ever happen any time before this? Did Alonso, maybe the race before, do something similar that nobody cared about? True, right? What?
But there is a division between the drivers in this paddock. Some who think that it was absolutely right to penalise Fernando, some who think that this is actually over-regulation gone mad and that you are ultimately taking the tools.
Ocon's win in I don't know what country. Did Alonso do something against Lewis Hamilton that race? If yes, oh shit, oh my god, what did think they already... I think Russell will be really sad because the standard is already set. Or if Alonso didn't do anything in that race, then Russell can be happy. No need to cry about it.
Away from the drivers to be able to determine how they defend their position. Let's not forget Max Verstappen's first Grand Prix victory back in Barcelona all those years ago came from doing precisely that, admittedly not just on the...
No. Don't tell that to George Russell, he will be upset. Knowing it's already a standard to do that.
Last lap, but every lap in order to keep Kimi Räikkönen at bay. In order to...
Oh my god, no. Don't say that. Is that true? Man, fistband, man. So people have done this before. And because Josh Russell crashed out, they complain about it. Oh shit! Hi, Jakobs... Eller Jakobs kanal kanske? Who knows? It's a Jakobs channel or Jakobs kanal. But yeah. What do you think about Alonso's penalty? Is this right or wrong? I mean, in my opinion, I would say it's more wrong. Because, I mean, like I said, if it's history that this have happened before, then why complain about it? If it's not a history, like I said with like Michael Schumacher or Alonso when they was fighting, probably didn't never do stuff like that, then I would say okay, penalty him. But from Formula 1's channel, they mentioned that Alonso already have done the race before, so look like it is already a standard to... Oh my god. Kevin Magnussen did that to everyone else in Saudi Arabia. So there is a standard to drive slow. in Formula 1. So, I mean, they gave Magnussen some penalties, but man, he already ruined all the races. So, yeah, let's see what they have more to say.
To make him kind of have to back out through that final sector so he couldn't get in DRS range down the start-finish straight. Are we in danger?
Oh my god. What do you mean?
Of restricting a driver's ability to do.
I mean, I would say yes, because the standard is already to ruin someone else's race if you win on it.
If you're penalising their ability to drive and to brake where and when they want.
I guess if you'd asked the stewards, they would say that they were going to be tougher this year, and so maybe they're just sticking to that plan of maybe being a bit more forceful in their decision making. I guess if you ask a straw pool of drivers on any subject, they're never all going to agree anyway, are they? I think we need to see a couple more examples, further down the line, and see how the stewards respond if we get a similar scenario, and then maybe look at a bigger sample and see.
What do you mean big example? You can just look through every race in history, and then you will see if what the precedent is. Oh my god, like I said, the race before apparently Alonso did something against Lewis Hamilton. Nobody cared. Wonder why. Nothing happened. But was it FIA? FIA. They said they didn't punish him because of the crash. But I didn't hear anything when he did that to Lewis Hamilton, so... The lies. Man, goddammit. Make me succeed. Yeah, now we're done. Now we can continue the fun.
Where we go from there.
Let's hear then from Fernando Alonso, who I spoke to earlier today about that penalty and his thoughts on it.
Oh yeah, the race. They think Alonso, it's madness that he did. Really weird comment. But something also happened 2021. Lewis Hamilton's move in Silverstone against Max Verstappen. That I would say if the Alonso did was madness, what is that Lewis Hamilton did then? Close to, I don't know, worse than madness. Close to maybe psychopath. Who knows? Yeah. I ruined the sound. Or rather, I will one day have ruined the sound, but... God damn it. I was saving it. I heard a skeleton. Or I heard a arrow from a skeleton. Yay. Alright, now it's that done. Now we can actually remove all the sand. Oh shit. Do you really think my channel is good? Well, maybe. Who knows?
Fernando, you say you have to accept the decision. Does that mean that you accept that you
God
drove
damn it,
in a
more
way
sound.
that was potentially dangerous?
Not at all. I mean, I'm totally against, what...
And he was in the, like I mentioned, Michael Schumacher era. So he should have plenty of knowledge about maybe how Michael Schumacher drove against people. I mean, some races Michael Schumacher crashed out because how he try to crash out some other people. So
what was the outcome of the decisions, but they have the power to do and to decide, and we have to accept it. But yeah, I'm surprised and totally disagree for sure.
That means you have to accept that they're taking tools away from you in that respect. Your ability to defend, to choose your braking point, to choose your line.
Well, I think it was one-off. It will never be repeated the same, and I think we will.
I mean, like, it's so weird. Like, he just brake early. Can't you do that? You need to brake equally. I mean, sure, he brake earlier than he used to, but why would that be a bad thing? I mean, when you want to keep someone behind, everyone do that. That's, I mean, that's what Alex Albon is doing. To succeed to keep people behind and get points. He will brake early, ruin their racing line to make so he get the perfect racing line.
We'll never see a decision like in Australia ever again. So I accept it, I take it. I had few of those, too many of those in my career, and yeah.
Wait, what? No. Of course, Alonso. Well, the F1 should have more knowledge about how you drive in Formula 1 than Alonso, right? Or you could believe it.
Hopefully, yeah. Or at least no one else is.
But are you how much interesting in Formula 1? And yes, I'm from Sweden. I can talk like I'm really from Sweden. It's the greatest power you have when you're from Sweden. But I really hope that man, so mean against Alonso.
Is having this kind of outcomes, so I take it.
The other drivers have said it's going to be discussed this weekend in the drivers' briefing. What do you expect to come out of that? A bit more clarity from the FIA over what is and isn't allowable?
I guess so. Obviously, they will try to explain and.
Yeah, they will try. And the history will say something else. Oh my god. I mean, let's see. Do we have any more? Sergio Perez in Monaco to keep Carlos Sainz and Leclerc behind, or maybe just Carlos Sainz. I think he probably drove the race differently when he later when he did in the early stage. So it's like it's.
And to have some guidelines for
when sometimes you can really like people driving slow, and sometimes you really don't like when people drive slow, but it's not like it never have happened before. Ja, jag kan prata svenska. Eller jag kan ju enligt skolan så är man kanske mindre bra. Inga fina betyg i skolan kan man ju säga. Men om man räknar bort dem så skulle jag säga att man kan prata svenska. Men jag skulle aldrig säga bra. Bara tillräckligt bra. Let's see. See what Alonso have more to say.
All of us, but I think it will be difficult to agree. We are all 20 drivers. We have all 20 different opinions probably, but they have the power to decide, and we have to accept it. And there is nothing we can do. And it's no point, obviously, also to go back and to discuss too many things. So we move on, and yeah, hopefully we are a little bit more far apart the cars here.
20 different drivers, 20 different opinions. I'll give you a 21st. Martin.
And 20 different ways to drive slow to make someone else not get past you.
Brundle, our colleague here in Formula One, in an article after the Australian Grand Prix, said that was right out of the Fernando Alonso playbook. He's been doing that to drivers like David Coulthard for 20 years or more.
Wait, David Coulthard, even an older person in Formula One. You can really talk about the maybe Mika Häkkinen times also.
Was it a brake test?
No.
As the steward said, I think, regardless of intent, the penalty stands. Aston Martin. They're not having the start to the season that they did last year, but that top 5 teams is so condensed, so compacted. They will be hoping for upgrades. I know a lot of the teams have got upgrades this weekend. I don't believe Aston Martin have got anything for the moment, or have they this weekend? You know,
we'll find out tomorrow, won't we?
Find that out. Actually, no. You know what? They do. Just as well, I'm on pit lane reporting duty this weekend. We'll bring that to you during free practice 1. But a lot of talk around this team at the moment. Not least, will Fernando stay or will Fernando go? Might Carlos Sainz end up here next year? Might Adrian Newey? That was the big story during the week.
Yeah, there was that story. Lawrence
Wait,
Stroll.
what? Let's talk about Lance Stroll. What happened?
Reportedly going after Adrian Newey, the greatest designer Formula One has ever
So's
seen.
Fred Vasseur, though.
This is
so
true.
is everyone.
I think the reality is, in Formula One, all teams are always trying to get the very best personnel, whether that's in the design office, whether it's in an engineering side. So
and then we have a picture of Lance Stroll. Everyone is asking for Lance Stroll to drive for them. I mean, I live in Sweden. So I live in Sweden. Det gamla, det fria, det fjällhöga nord. See, no new fishes. Or new fishes, new coloring of fishes. Let's see, what do they talk about?
I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
I mean, why do they mention Lance? Oh, did they say his dad's name? I think it's similar to Lance Stroll. Okay, so they want Adrian Newey.
The question is, does Adrian Newey want to leave? And does he want to go to Aston Martin?
No.
And if he's got all the options on the table, Aston Martin.
I mean, I feel like in his age, he, like, being in Red Bull will be the last team. And then he will maybe retire or make Red Bull one more supercar look-alike retirement car for him to be. Let's see. I think I can see, where do we have, if I click on that, Google Maps, because we can do some really high tech. And then we go there, I think. Let's see. Should be yes, and then we just, yeah, we have the area where I might be living. I can at least say between Vänern and Vättern. So somewhere between these nice, or I think I just have been at least at one of them. I don't think I've been at both. So at least one is nice. The other one is maybe worse. At least between them and somewhere in this area. Man, the water is... The sounds of it is annoying. Get back to Andrew Newey, Aston Martin, Ferrari talk. That's I don't believe in.
And staying at Red Bull, going to Ferrari, which one's he going to choose? Look, if I was Adrian, I'd be pretty delighted with that set of options, wouldn't you?
But this is a good option for driver, for designer. They're getting that Honda Power Unit in 2026. They could have a really solid foundation to launch into the new regs.
Well, they have that brand new factory, haven't they? Up and running, the wind tunnel, the simulator.
Yeah, and hopefully Honda will make so Tsunoda will. I mean, that would be so beautiful. Yuki Tsunoda joins Aston Martin and can start getting podiums and maybe wins for Aston Martin and be the, I don't know how long time ago a Japanese won a race, but at least oh shit, I had already down. But some nice podiums will probably happen. Hopefully. Oh my god. Stop the water sound.
It is a project where budget obviously is no option. It could be quite a fun thing to turn around for Adrian Newey. That will be any engineer they're going after will kind of look at Aston Martin as a really exciting, enticing product to get their teeth stuck into. What I'd be really impressed by from the outside, though, is the way that Aston have progressed, haven't they? And they continue to progress, and maybe not at the speed that Lawrence Stroll would hope so, but they're in that bucket of five, top five. Maybe not pushing as high as they want to, but if they're scoring consistently, they're in a good space. This is only really year 2 or 3 of their real push-in project. I think they're in a good space right now.
Not in a good space. Alpine, horrible start to the...
Oh my god, Alpine. They have a sad year. I mean, they going from 1 point they were fighting against McLaren. I think it was more Alpha Tauri. Then they was fighting McLaren. And then they were fighting... Oh shit. Yeah. God damn it. Where do we have the fucking history? Where do we have... No, that's in the car. Okay, I want... Can I change the year? The archive? Sure. And I want... Oh my god. When they say archive, it's actually... Man. That's a long archive. Let's see. 2021. The year I started. And then I want... Can I get teams? Or is this just the people? Teams. Yeah. Now we can... Okay. So there it was Alpine and AlphaTauri. And if Tsunoda have done it better, the AlphaTauri will probably have finished above them. But here we have Alpine, somewhat good, 2021, and then 2022. Oh shit. So AlphaTauri have gone away. Oh my god, they won against McLaren also. And that's because Daniel Ricciardo. Man. So wait, 4. And here there were 5. Oh shit. So they went from 5 to 4. 2006 because now they behind Aston Martin and McLaren. And now 2024. They are, man. They have went downhill. Oh, I thought they said... Come on, it's Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team, not RB Honda. I thought this was the Visa Cash App. But the 25 points I can... That must be a lie. And it was, because it was the wrong team I was looking for. Okay, back to... Oh my god, Alpine sadness.
The season, although Esteban Ocon sounded some words of positivity after Australia that he felt they could have been in the points had he not had that brake issue with the visor tear-off strip lodging itself in there and forcing him to have another pit stop. Is that a genuine kind of silver lining to the cloud that's there right now? I know they've got a weight reduction on the car this weekend, their first major upgrade of the season.
Nice.
Right, so I think that's one good thing that Alpine can...
Yeah, I don't know if this is true, but it was mentioned that they changed the color. So they went from the pink livery to the blue and black. And that would have made the car lighter.
Onto is when you've got an overweight car, it's low-hanging fruit, isn't it, to take the weight off, then you're going to get free lap time essentially. And you know, Pierre was talking earlier about, I think it's a small step, so let's not get too excited about kind of the improvements they made to that car this weekend. I was intrigued to see that Esteban was saying that, you know, they could have scored points in Melbourne. Though I think if you talk to anyone downwards from 6, they thought they could have got points if the race had kind of gone the way they were. I think Alpine are in a difficult spot. I think they know it's going to take time, possibly the whole season, to get on top of these things. But if they are bringing these little changes, like they are here, like you said, to bring the weight off, that means they're moving in a step forward, and they've got to keep the drivers motivated. They've got to...
I mean, surely they're moving the step forward, but it will probably not be enough to see any bright future for them.
To keep the team motivated, they've got to keep showing that they are doing a better job from one weekend to another. And in Australia, you've got Yuki Tsunoda, got that P7. If you have a good, strong, clean weekend, you might nab a point anyway. Haas are a great example as well, aren't they?
Haas are a great example of that in a midfield, which has been described as...
Yeah, that's depressing seeing Haas getting points when, in my opinion, I want to see Williams and Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team getting some points.
Brutal this week. That is how stiff that competition is. Also brutal, of course, was the decision to bench Logan Sargent last time out in Australia.
No, it will be brutal for the team to keep.
After Alex Albon crashed the Williams, only one chassis because Williams don't have a spare chassis. Actually, I went up and down the pit lane today investigating. They're not the only team that don't have a spare chassis. There are others.
Wait, what? Man. So Williams, they're not alone. There's more people that do that mistake.
Here in the pit lane that don't. But Williams, here's the crash for Alex Albon. Again, at that really tricky corner that also caught George Russell. It was a big impact. Tub had to go back to the UK. The tub has been fixed, Lawrence. But arriving here in Japan, Alex Albon doesn't have the fixed tub. The mended tub has gone to Logan Sargent. Logan's perfectly pristine car from the start of the season.
Is there... Man. Alex Albon get the new stuff. And Logan Sargent get the bad stuff.
Stays with Alex Albon. Do you understand?
Yes. Come on, that's... Who would you rather get the new stuff? Sebastian Vettel or Mark Webber? Probably Sebastian Vettel.
Understand the reasoning behind that.
Well, you were talking to Logan earlier.
Or who do you get the new stuff? Lewis Hamilton or Bottas? Probably Lewis Hamilton. Or Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Räikkönen. Who do you give the new stuff? Of course, Sebastian Vettel.
You can kind of give a feel for like his mood at the minute.
Well, so Logan basically said, well, the team had already set up my car for Alex, and it would have taken them too long to have changed it back to me and then done the other car for. It took them a night in Australia, so I don't really buy that. I mean, look, he said he had some good time after Australia. He went to the beach, sat there, chilled out, but he did admit that actually the real weight of it had only really settled in those days after the race, because the emotions were so raw over the weekend, and it was only when he was able to kind of look back on it that he was able to really balance it in his own mind. But he says he's good, he's positive, wants to come here, you know, make a good impression. And that good impression would be, I would imagine, scoring points, but we can hear from him now.
Probably not.
Logan, I imagine Australia was a very difficult weekend for you. Actually, I can't imagine how difficult the weekend
was. The difficulty, it did nothing, so it couldn't be that difficulty.
Was for you. Obviously, emotions would have been raw at the time, but in the days after, how did you reflect back on that weekend, and how did you end up feeling about it?
Yeah, I think for sure the next day, couple days was a bit of felt a bit raw, but at the same time, I think, you know, we haven't had the perfect start to the year, but in terms of speed, I'm happy with where I'm at, and I think I just need to, you know, carry that into this weekend. But for sure, having a week off, I got to spend it sitting on a beach, but also getting some good training in, seeing things from a different perspective, and come back here feeling actually very fresh and psychologically happy, and just ready to get back in the car.
Does it make you question the team's confidence and faith in you that they took that decision when you were sat on the beach?
Or probably yes for him, but or is it confident they did the right decision, and then it's yes? Man, what a weird question.
Alone with
something they should question it. Why didn't Mercedes try to keep Lewis Hamilton? That's something you should question.
Your thoughts? Did that ever kind of creep its way in?
No, I don't think so. I think, you know, I didn't have the easiest of years in 2023, and they stuck by my side. I believe I've had that support since the end of 2021, and I don't think it's gone anywhere. I think it's just a difficult situation for everyone involved. Difficult situation for even, you know, the mechanics who have to, you know, shift the cars all the way across. So it's tough, but at the same time, I feel like I stepped away. I was in my own little bubble. I didn't really think too much about racing at all, and I think that was what I needed.
2 chassis in the garage at the moment. You've got your car back, or have you got the patched up one?
I have the patched up one, but a very well patched up one.
Hopefully.
The repair went better than expected, and should be exactly identical to what I previously had.
Should be exactly identical to what he had before, and they will hope with the rain that they don't damage it anymore, or the Chinese Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time will be something of a difficulty. Look, folks, it's Ariana Bravo. Hello, mate.
Hello.
How are you?
Oh, no.
Very good, thank you. Very happy to be back on Weekend Warm-Up.
And happy to be back in Japan. I know you've not been here for a long time.
No, I've only been to Tokyo before, never come to the race, so I'm very excited because everyone says this is one of their favourites.
It's immense.
You love it.
It's absolutely love it. Drivers possibly not loving it so much after Australia are the Sauber guys. You were speaking to them. Pit stop problems recurring.
Yeah, still not 100% resolved, which obviously that's not what they would have wanted to come here saying, but still not 100% resolved. Valtteri saying it's going to take a little bit more time, but feeling confident coming into this weekend more generally. Obviously the race pace was looking good for Valtteri aside from the pit stop issue, so I think he is encouraged by that, but
hopefully
if it happens again, then it's another race, isn't it?
Another team with upgrades, of course. Sauber this weekend, a new floor for them. You get a feeling of positivity from the drivers that so early in the season they're making these strides, making these changes.
Yeah, both of the drivers did sound positive actually. Zhou as well, they sounded optimistic. As a team, they seem to all sound quite encouraged by what they've seen in terms of the race pace specifically. It's just a case of getting a hold of that pit stop issue, and then I think we'll really be able to see where they sort of fall and how the team is all working together.
Let's move on to RB now, Lawrence Barretto, because they have a different driver in their car, not for the whole weekend, just for F.
Umawasa will be in the Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team car, and Ricardo will have one practice just and less, and Tsunoda will be driving with another Japan.
P1
Japanese.
Iwasa, who many of you will remember from Formula 2, now plying his trade over here in Japan in Super Formula, will take Daniel Ricciardo's seat, so it will be him and Tsunoda for FP1.
Yeah, very cool to have an all-Japanese lineup for just one session. It will be good for the team to be able to evaluate him as well, because they've got 2 seats available for next year. Obviously, Yuki, Daniel will be hoping to retain those seats as a bare minimum. Liam Lawson's waiting in the wings, and we've said that Helmut Marko wants him in a car. So it's just a great opportunity to kind of evaluate Iwasa, but it's difficult for Ricciardo, missing the first session of a race weekend when he's trying to build this rhythm through it.
Don't worry, he will get points, hopefully.
Gonna have to get it all together in FP2.
And he was talking today about the possible need to change the chassis in order to figure out if it's the car or if it's him. He used a word to describe his driving this year, which I can't repeat on television. But it wasn't a positive one. How hard do you think he's feeling this hit at the start of the year?
I mean, he's beating himself up at the minute about the kind of performance that he's delivering on track. He's pretty lost as to why he can't seem to get this RB to work. He's going to come here at a track that generally he'll feel a little bit more comfortable with, I think. So if he can kind of get the car working around here, that's a positive.
Yeah,
but he's got to start out
to
performing
do the
Yuki Tsunoda as a bare minimum. At the moment, Yuki's delivering one of the star drives performances of this year.
Well, he's nowhere near at the moment. A great statistic that I saw after Australia. Daniel's average qualifying gap to Yuki Tsunoda this year is identical.
I mean, it's just, what's it, 4 races now? It can't still change, come on.
To that
Have
of
the
Nick
trust
de Vries
in him.
over his first 3 races with Alpha Tauri last year. It's an average of 0.4 seconds in qualifying. Yuki's doing a great job this year, Ariana.
Yuki's doing a fantastic job, and I think that is emphasising where Daniel is falling short. I spoke to Daniel earlier, and he was saying, I feel fine, I feel great, I feel confident, it's not a problem with me, like in myself I feel good. But when your teammate's performing as well as Yuki is, and with the mounting pressure and the people that are there waiting for the seat, like you've said, at some point it needs to click, and Yuki is doing a fantastic job in that seat. It's a really tough one, and Daniel said, you know, I'm just focusing on speaking with my engineers. I'm not letting outside noise and outside opinions of how I should be doing things get into my head. But there's only 2 points between RB and Haas. At some point, you got to step up.
There we have it.
Beautiful segue into the discussion on Haas, because they have been such a revelation at the start of this season. They really were nowhere for a lot of last year. A lot of worries on them with the change of team principal at the start of the
maybe
season.
new
but
fish for the
doing
collection.
a wonderful job there. They've taken their opportunities, scored points early on, Lawrence, and I don't know, for me, probably surprise package at the start of the year.
Oh, definitely. Like, the start of the year, they were putting the bar way down here. They're like, we're not going to be scoring points.
Haas saying they will not score points. Alpine say they will be good. And the table have turned a lot.
We're going to be tallying off the back of the field. And yet they are probably the best of the rest from a midfield perspective. And, you know, Nico Hülkenberg and Kevin Magnussen, even though he's not got the lion's share of the points, have worked really well together. They're getting the best out of this very compliant car at the minute. And they seem to have done a really good job with what they've got. And also I seem to be learning from weekend in, weekend out. So actually coming here, I still think of the best of the rest, they're still the best chance of getting some points outside of the top 5.
And they've moved...
No, Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team will most likely have even better time. They have Honda, they have, I mean, a lot of probably Japanese fans. They should be, or they must be really good to be, must. It will be fun if they would have a really good race. Grey and brown. Could that also be a new fish for the collection? Blue tang, that's probably not new. Back to Haas stuff.
Their development schedule forwards, I understand, and brought some more developments online much earlier in the season than they were due to be coming on board. You can hear from Ayo Komatsu and you can hear from Yuki Tsunoda later on this weekend. We're going to be talking to both of them. Right, this is where you can catch everything for the remainder of the weekend here on F1 TV, and it all kicks off as it always does with F1.
Oh shit, go away, music. You will not ruin the stream again. So mean. Play music and then you just from nowhere and then. Okay, let's see. I don't know any times they are trying to tell, but I can say from my timeline in 5 hours and 47 minutes, because this is, I mean, they still may be right, but in my time. So in 5 hours and 47 minutes practice 1 will happen. Let's see, and then we have practice 2 in 9 hours and 60 minutes. So soon we will see how good the cars are. Oh shit, that I can mention. Let's see, practice 3 will be in 1 day and 5 hours and 46 minutes, and then we have the qualifying in 1 day, 9 hours and 6 minutes, and the race will be in 2 days and 8 hours and 60 minutes. Is the music over?
What's on the show today? We should probably do predictions, shouldn't we?
Oh,
Because
prediction!
that's how we normally close this.
Lando Norris win after a great rain safety car ending that make Max Verstappen losing the race to Lando Norris. And Max Verstappen P2 and then Charles Leclerc P3.
This show, Ariana.
Yes.
Have you prepared a prediction? I haven't even thought about predictions
I
yet.
haven't thought about it. What has been occupying my mind in the last few minutes is you talking about the weather so much for Sunday,
Sorry.
which is really stressing me out because I've not packed accordingly. But anyway, predictions. Max Verstappen win.
No.
I think he's going to come back as a force after last time out. Charles P2 and let's go, I think a McLaren P3.
Love it. Which one?
Let's say Lando.
Okay.
But yeah, let's say Lando.
Love it.
So the obvious thing is to say Max Verstappen win, but I think
you're
what's
going to go rogue.
I was going to go rogue, because I'm going to put a McLaren in there. I think
Yes.
Lando Norris.
I was going to go there. I was going to go rogue with it, but you've done it.
It's going to cause grief in my fancy F1 team. So McLaren are so highly priced, you can't actually get both of them in and a Max Verstappen. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do. I might have to gamble and go big and maybe just focus on McLaren. Anyway,
Okay.
we'll talk about this later on. So I think it's going to be.
Put both Alpine drivers in.
Hang on, let's not get carried away. I'm going to go Lando. I'm going to go Max. I'm going to go Oscar.
Lovely. I think I'm going to go with a Lando win and a Carlos Sainz P2 and a Checo P3.
Man, Carlos Sainz isn't that good. Come on.
No, so no Max on the.
Lovely. I'm going to go. I think.
Let's see. What did he say?
Let's not get carried away. I'm going to go Lando. I'm going to go Max. I'm going to go Oscar.
Lovely.
Lando, Max, Oscar. Why not Lando, Max, Leclerc? More reasonable.
I think I'm going to go with a Lando win and a Carlos Sainz P2.
No, Max P2
and a Checo P3.
No.
Man, so mean against Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen.
No Max on the podium for the second successive race.
Yeah.
Bold.
I like the variety.
Bold.
Except for Lando in all of ours.
Right. See how wrong we end up being by following along on F1 TV for the rest of the weekend. This, folks, is always such a special Grand Prix, even more so at this beautiful time of year here in...
Oh shit, fucking more music. Stop with that. Is that done?
That.
Oh, is this the blossom? Man, I want that tree. And it's in Minecraft. Oh, it's done. It's done. We can go away from it. Oh shit. We click that one. Then we can go away from it. Okay, that's done. Oh, let's do... The only thing I think I have left that I want to watch is the race and then F1 World. So let's do that fast. The race have something about Sebastian Vettel. Let's see. What really going on with Sebastian Vettel and Mercedes in F1 2021?
Could Sebastian Vettel really make a shot comeback to Formula 1 next year with Mercedes?
No.
Well, that's the latest twist in an already frenetic silly season. Ed, what on earth is going on?
Well, Sebastian Vettel's been doing the rounds in the media, not the motorsport media, but the general world media. Well, I say world, but British media in particular, Sky News, Radio X, that kind of thing, to promote the purple energy drink that he's an investor in, of course. Now, in the course of those interviews...
The fuck is that? What a purple? Purple?
He talked about an F1 comeback, or rather he was asked about it, and he left the door open in a slightly tantalising way. He referred to having had conversations with Toto Wolff, although he did rather dampen down excitement about that by saying it was just conversations rather than talks about the Mercedes drive. But him talking about that to promote that energy drink has given rise to some rumours he might be considering a Formula 1 return. And of course that meant that Suzuka today, media day for the Japanese Grand Prix, it was a big talking point.
Well, speaking of Suzuka, let's head to the Japanese Grand Prix. This is Scott Mitchell-Mann.
While I don't want to rain on the parade of anybody who is celebrating the idea of a shock Sebastian Vettel comeback in Formula 1, especially with a front-running team like Mercedes, it doesn't really look like it's in the offing. He doesn't seem to be actually in serious contention at Mercedes, which wants to pay Vettel the respect he's due as a four-time world champion and someone with a very good relationship with Lewis Hamilton and team boss Toto Wolff. There are other drivers who are clearly ahead of him in the pecking order, and it would be quite extraordinary for Vettel to need to be the next in line option. That's despite Hamilton saying he would be an amazing option for Mercedes as a four-time world champion, an experienced driver, and a German driver driving for a German manufacturer as well. So there would seem to be a lot of boxes ticked there as far as Hamilton is concerned. But one of the best boxes that Vettel ticks is perhaps that he's not Fernando Alonso. Lewis didn't mention Alonso by name in his answer of who he'd like to replace him at Mercedes next season when Hamilton goes to Ferrari, but the way he described the need for a driver or a person who fits in with the Mercedes ethos and is a good team player and isn't divisive and isn't negative, it did have the air of poking at Alonso's reputation as a prickly character a little bit. Again, didn't mention Alonso by name, but everybody seemed to infer from it that Hamilton was saying you can sign anyone as long as it's not Fernando. Maybe doing Hamilton a little bit of a disservice there, but I think it's fair to say Lewis would rather see Vettel in a Mercedes than Alonso, but it just doesn't seem like something that's particularly likely to happen.
Okay, Ed, so can we definitively rule out Vettel going to Mercedes then? Is there any truth at all to this rumour?
No truth. Well, being definitive is always a risk and you can never say never, but right now he is not in the mix at Mercedes. He's not on Mercedes' list. As Scott alluded to, Toto Wolff was basically being polite. Why would you rule out and say, no, we don't want a driver of that reputation and success? But no, he's not a serious contender.
True.
Now, there's the interesting question of, should he be a contender?
No.
I personally don't think so. They have other better alternatives than a driver who, of course, will turn 37 in a few months. So he's kind of a driver of the past, and I just don't think that's what Mercedes needs right now. Plus, there's no evidence he actually wants a return to Formula 1. If he'd said emphatically, yes, I'm 100% all in, I want to come back, then maybe you'd think, possibly. But basically, he seems to be doing this to draw attention to his energy drink. And why not? Because that's such a great way to grab headlines, isn't it? To dangle the carrot of an F1 return. So I don't think he particularly wants to come back to Formula 1. In fact, I don't think he wants to come back to Formula 1 at all. And Mercedes don't want him. So it's close to impossible to...
Oh my god, so they make a video about something that they don't think will happen, but they just mention because people mention
this happening. You never know, but yeah,
not
we
the
can
first
be as definitive as we can be, but events and all that, you never know what might happen.
And I think the problem for Vettel as well, obviously he's had a couple of years out, that's not even really the core problem. You look at, Michael Schumacher, Kimi Räikkönen, Fernando Alonso, all of those drivers were able to stop and then come back. But the level they stopped at was obviously a lot higher than that level that, Vettel exited F1 at before. So, yeah, the Vettel of the past, he'd be a great option for Mercedes. But even the Vettel of 2021, 2022, and certainly now, just isn't a viable alternative for Mercedes.
Det är kul. Det kokar. För varje match som går så kokar det ner till det avgörande momentet. Så det...
What about the rest of the grid, though, Ed? I mean, possibly the Audi Works team. Are there any other options that could interest Vettel?
Well, yeah, Sauber Audi is the one that, if Vettel really did want to pursue a comeback, seems like a good fit. He's German, hugely illustrious name, so will serve some of those purposes. Very, very experienced, so he could be there for a few years, play a part in building up that team. No evidence they consider him at all, let alone evidence he'd want to do it. But I think realistically, if Vettel wants an F1 comeback, it's not going to be with a top team. It's going to be with an up-and-coming team. But of course, he was with an up-and-coming team a few years ago with Aston Martin when he chose to retire from Formula One. So I'm not sure whether he'd want to tread that path again, and I'm not sure whether teams would want him. If he was all in on an F1 return and on the market, I think there would be teams who'd look at him, who'd talk to him, who'd consider him. But there's no evidence that he really wants that, and this is anything other than just a bit of a publicity grab for his energy drink, and why not? Because it's a great way to do it.
Yeah, and theoretically it's a great story for F1, but I think the problem is if he goes in and isn't committed, then that's potentially an even more, disastrous and quite painful story. We've seen it many times with drivers, an initially exciting prospect can soon turn sour if the results don't come their way. So, Ed, then, if Vettel isn't racing in F1, where are we actually going to see him next?
Well, if he does come back, it seems far, far, far more likely to be at Le Mans or the World Endurance Championship for a full programme. He tested the Porsche that runs in the hypercar class, a Penske run car recently. He seemed to enjoy it. So I think there's real interest there in doing something in endurance racing. And I think that would be a very, very good fit. It would be great to see how he gets on there. Much as I'd like to see him come back into Formula One, just from it's always great to see these drivers performing at that level. I think I'd be even more excited about him doing a hypercar class program, ideally a full championship. That seems to be what he wants to do, and that would fit in better. A Formula One season, 24 races, is a monstrous commitment. Now, WEC is not a weekends have a bit of fun every now and again thing. It is a serious commitment, but it's not quite at the same level. So I think if we're going to see Vettel back in racing, then it's going to be in WEC at Le Mans. There's been some questions about whether he could do it this year. I think it's a bit late for him to do Le Mans this year. But 2025, Vettel in sports cars, I like the idea, and I think he likes it too.
Yeah, it just fits in so much better with the very reason he left F1. He wanted to spend more time with his family and going back to the F1 circus. I mean, we've heard Alonso recently talking about the huge sacrifice it takes to still operate at the highest level. And yeah, that intensive schedule is not going to fit in with what Vettel wants from life anymore. So World Endurance Championship just seems like the more logical fit. Okay, what are Mercedes going to do then? So it won't be Sebastian Vettel. Where do you see them going from here if he wasn't ever a possibility? Who is the most likely possibility?
Carlos Sainz.
Well, it's the same suite of options they had when Hamilton's shock move to Ferrari was revealed to them earlier this year. The top choice does appear to be Kimi Antonelli, who'll be 18 next year.
Top choice in some years, not now.
He's racing in F2. He is rated as the next big thing. He's not just a Mercedes young driver who happens to be there. He is very highly rated and has been for some time. Huge amount of success since stepping up into single-seaters. He's won a total of 4 championships across F4 and Formula Regional. So the feeling is...
At least he can be in Formula 1, but not in Mercedes. He'd probably be in Williams. If that. And then they will have Carlos Sainz for 1 year. And then, yeah. When that's done, 1 or 2 years, then they bring him up in the Mercedes team.
The drive is there for him, but it's going to depend how he does in F2, and it's going to depend on how he does in his old car F1 test. That program's going to start at the Red Bull Ring later this month in a 2021 car, and I think that'll be very influential in whether he gets the drive. If it's not going to be Antonelli and they decide he's not ready for F1, or he needs to be loaned out to a Williams, say George Russell style, for a few years, then there's options such as Carlos Sainz, And of course, Fernando Alonso. Alonso would be a great logical hit if they feel they're going to be a championship chasing team in 2025, but he's obviously not the long-term bet. He's 42 and even he can't hold back time forever. So I think he's seen as a fallback option if they need an interim possibility just to slot in for a year or two while they wait for Antonelli. And then as you move down, there's people like Esteban Ocon who they could resort to should they want to. But the absolutely astounding thing is, for this top team, the number one choice does appear to be a rookie, Antonelli, and that's remarkable for a team of this standing. Okay, it's not winning world championships anymore, but it's still a top team in Formula One, and it's working hard to be so again. And frankly, astonishing as it sounds, that Mercedes 2025 seat is Kimi Antonelli's to lose.
I mean, true, but I don't think he had a chance to get it. But hey, the race has spoken, like they always do. Probably not for the best, but hey, sure. On the news from them. But now maybe more fun. 2024 Japanese Grand Prix preview and prediction by the F1 World. Then this will be the last thing I will be watching.
Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the preview for the 2024 Japanese Grand Prix. No, don't worry, you haven't overslept by 6 months or whatever. It is still April and it really is Japan race week already. I absolutely love this track and this is one of my favourite weekends of the season. So as weird as it feels having it this early, it is actually really nice having it this early in the season. I can't wait for it. But anyway...
I mean, it's the blossom time in Japan, I think. So, they have something. Man, this was the most weirdest thing Sebastian Vettel ever did. The bee houses, or what this was.
Last time out, F1 was in Melbourne, where Carlos Sainz ended Max Verstappen's run of race wins. The Dutchman, as I'm sure you remember, retiring after his rear brake caught fire, having been stuck on since the start of the race. Oh, the drama. But now, it is on to Japan for the 4th round of this season. The wonderful, in my view anyway, 5.807 kilometre, that's 3.6 miles Suzuka circuit hasn't undergone any major changes since F1 visited back in September, so it's still made up of 18 corners. I think it's fair to say the track is fast and flowing for the most part, but there are some slow speed turns like turn 9, also known as Degna 2, the hairpin at turn 11, which is a great spot to try and overtake if you're Kamui Kobayashi, and the famous final chicane, of course. Now, those slower corners will come in handy because there is just the one DRS zone in use this weekend, and that is probably, as you'd expect, running down the start-finish straight. So what?
I mean, this is so annoying. And I'm trying to do a slime farm, and it's still better than Mambo Jumbo did for whole season. Nah, almost succeeded without getting hit. What more do I need? No, I didn't need anything. I needed to look for all the stuff. All the blocks that are falling down.
So it is possible to take advantage of that and make moves down the straight and into the first couple of corners. Drivers may have to get creative, which will be nice to see, and make some old school overtakes at other spots around the lap. And in 2023, perhaps predictably, Max Verstappen took the win to help Red Bull wrap up the Constructors' title with the McLaren duo of Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri following the Dutchman home on Sunday. Although Norris was just shy of 20 seconds off the lead come the end of the race, it was a comfortable one for Max Verstappen. That was, by the way, Piastri's first ever F1 podium and Norris's 4th podium of 2023 and his second.
So this could be Lando Norris' first win.
Of 4 podiums on the bounce, 4 of course also being his race number, and Japan is race number 4 of the 2024 season. That is a lot of 4s, which is excellent news because 4 is also the number of tyres on an F1 car. At least that's how many they start with. Oh yes, it is tyre talk time once again. You know you love it, really.
No, I don't. Time.
Det finns hushåll i Sverige. Förra året var det som flyttade. Flyttade till Norrbotten, flyttade till Södermalm. Vem du än är, hur du än bor. Välkommen till Ikano Bank.
The compounds available for this one then are the hardest in the Pirelli ranges, so they are the hard C1, the medium C2 and the soft C3. Don't forget they will also have intermediate and wet tyres available should they need them at any stage during the weekend, which is a possibility. More on that later though. The track surface at Suzuka is rough and abrasive, and so is a test for tyres when it comes to wear as well as forces and lows throughout the lap, thanks in part to the long consecutive fast flowing corners, all of which is why once again Pirelli has gone with the hardest compounds available. Something else for the teams to consider this weekend is that because the race is being held earlier in the year, temperatures will be lower than is usually expected when the race rolls around. More on that in a moment as well, but it is going to be a big factor. When it comes to strategy, 2 stops tends to be the favoured option, as was the case last year, where race winner Max Verstappen ran the mediums for the first 2 stints of the race, changing to a fresh set on lap 16 before pitting again on lap 37 to put on the set of the hards, which took it to the end of the race. The 2 McLarens, by the way, went medium hard and then hard again, but whatever the combination, 2 stops was largely the strategy throughout the field. However, those lower temperatures I've already mentioned might open the door for a 1-stop race if drivers are kind to their tyres, but
let's see.
It's worth noting the cooler temperatures will make it tricky to keep the compounds in their optimum operating window, so keep an eye out for the impact that has, especially on outlaps following stops as drivers try to get their tyres up to temperatures.
True. But hopefully it will start raining also. That make Red Bull lose the win to Lando Norris. So Lando Norris finally gets his rain race win.
Just a final few things to mention on strategy. The total pit lane lost time last year was mainly between 23 and 25 seconds. Sergio Perez, though, spending the most time in the pits with a total loss of 41 minutes and 25 seconds as the team repaired his car and sent him back out again to serve a penalty for hitting Kevin.
Man, that was... He DNF, comes out again and then DNF for a second time. That's in the same car. That's incredible.
Magnussen before retiring the car, you could say again. So a long stop, but not quite as long as Valtteri Bottas in Monaco a couple of years ago. The full safety car has appeared at 3 of the last 5 races in Japan, so that will likely influence strategy if we see one during the race. And at time of recording, the weather forecast for Suzuka is a bit mixed, with rain a threat, although that threat does fall.
And hopefully the threat will make so Lando Norris can get his first win.
Away as the weekend goes on, with a 20% chance of a shower during qualifying and highs of 18 degrees. And on Sunday, temperatures are currently forecast to be as high as 19.
Oh no, so only qualifying could be rain. Fist bad, man.
Degrees with around about a 10% chance of rain falling once the race is underway. As always, though, that could all
40% after the start. Man, it could be a Lando Norris win now.
The weekend, and the weather at Suzuka can be unpredictable at times. As for this weekend's schedule, it is another early one over here, although not quite 4 AM. That's not a complaint, by the way, as I've said what feels like a million times on this channel. I actually prefer the early races, honestly. There's just something about getting up early to watch F1. I love it. Not that anybody...
You go up early. You stay up until the race happens. Then you go to bed. So much easier.
Asked. But anyway, FP1 will get the weekend underway from 3:30 AM BST, and FP2 will start at 7 AM later that same morning. Saturday's action starts with FP3, and that is from 3:30 AM with qualifying underway at 7 AM, and it will be lights out for the race on Sunday at 6 AM, and once again that is in UK time. Now, before I get on to my predictions, I'm just going to have a quick run through a few news stuff.
Lando Norris P1, Max Verstappen P2, and Charles Leclerc P3. And hopefully that happens.
Stories and talking points have been doing the rounds ahead of the weekend in Japan. So Alpine have confirmed they will bring their first updates of the year to their car at Suzuka. The updates will mainly...
Yeah, we'll probably do nothing, but hey, good for you.
Feature a new front wing, as well as the first step of the much needed weight reduction of the car. Team principal Bruno Famin said the changes were not considered to be major, but did stress that it is important to add the new elements as soon as possible so they're able to assess the potential and improve their understanding of their overall package. There will be other teams, I'm sure, who bring updates, but there is also a rumour that Red Bull could be set to introduce, as one outlet put it, a not minor update. And actually, it has been rumoured since testing that Japan was expected to be where we'd see the team bring a significant set of upgrades. However, as I sit here and record this on Wednesday afternoon, there has been no official word, so keep an eye out during the team show and tell thing later this week. It could be interesting. Williams, by the way, have confirmed that Alex Albon's chassis has been repaired ahead of this weekend, and so they will run 2 cars in Japan. McLaren has confirmed another set of organisational changes since the last race in Australia. Changes the team says are aimed at further strengthening and evolving their technical model. David Sanchez, who only joined for Ferrari following a period of gardening leave a few months ago, has left the team saying that, quote...
Yeah, there we have him. That's just for some reason, no, I don't want to be
role we
here.
envisioned and had agreed to was not aligned with the reality of the position I found, with Andrea Stella adding again, quote, upon our joint reflection, it became apparent that the role responsibilities and ambitions associated with David's position did not align with our original expectations when he agreed to join us in February 2023. As for the other changes, Rob Marshall will assume the role of Chief Designer. Neil Holdy will move to be Technical Director of Engineering. Peter Pedromu will continue his role as Technical Director of Aerodynamics. And there will be a streamlining of the Concept and Performance Department to focus on performance will be led by the Technical Director of Performance. Perhaps given that it's the Concept and Performance Department, that's not a great surprise. A role Andrea Stella will assume until a permanent appointment is confirmed. The team also unveiled their Driven by Change livery that will be used this weekend in Japan. The design is by Japanese artist Miltz, with the press release saying the design represents the speed of a Formula 1 car in the form of a dragon racing through the clouds. Sure. And Ayumu Iwasa will make his F1 practice debut for RB this weekend as he hops into Daniel Ricciardo's car for FP1 on Friday to make it an all-Japanese lineup for the team in that session. Iwasa, who is racing in Super Formula this year, did drive for AlphaTauri at last year's post-season Abu Dhabi test and said he is excited to get behind the wheel of an F1 car in his first official session in front of the fans at Suzuka. I've got to say, I'm really looking forward to seeing how he gets on in that car on Friday.
Yeah, they could be fun.
Hörna, gör livet en smula godare.
No.
Right then,
Great
time for some
boss.
predictions, and as always, don't take these too seriously at all. They're
I
just a
will.
little bit of fun. If you do disagree,
I will take them so seriously, so you will better say the right thing, or who knows.
You can let me know yours in the comment section down below. And quite frankly, the less said about my last lot, the better. Wrong on everything apart from Verstappen's pole and Leclerc making the podium. So let's just move on very quickly. This week, well, perhaps unsurprisingly, I'm fully expecting Red Bull and Max Verstappen to bounce back following a difficult Sunday at Albert Park last time out. Suzuka is a track that should play to the strengths of the RB20 like many tracks do. It requires good tyre management, handling balance and good straight line performance, so they are surely the favourites going into this one. Ferrari should be strong here too, as should McLaren, the track also playing to their strengths. In fact, I wouldn't be at all surprised if the top 3 teams are the same as they were in Australia, just probably in a different order. I won't just go with Verstappen across the board, though. I will mix things up a little bit and say that we'll see Charles Leclerc take pole position on Saturday, but it will be another one of those weekends where he's unable to convert that into victory, with Verstappen taking P1 on Sunday. I think it is likely we'll be looking
Oh, come on. Lando Norris can
at
be
a mix
the
of Red Bull
P1.
and Ferrari in the top 3 in some order, so I'll go with Leclerc P2 and Sainz P3, whilst also conceding it could just as easily be a Red Bull 1-2 with a Ferrari in 3rd, or even Carlos Sainz P2 with Leclerc in P3. I should say that doesn't mean I'm writing McLaren off, not at all. They might get a top 3 spot. After all, they got both drivers up there last year. I just think if all 4 cars finish with no drama at all, Red Bull and Ferrari will have a bit too much for McLaren. They'll not be too far away though. Behind those 3, I think Mercedes will end up in another battle with Aston Martin to be 4th best team on Sunday, as Suzuka on paper and based on what we've seen at other tracks this year with high and medium speed corners will not be a particularly good track for the W15. So much so that I'm actually going to put Mercedes as 5th best finishing team come the end of the race, with Fernando Alonso pipping both George Russell and Lewis Hamilton to a higher finish. It should be a fun fight there though. And finally for today, let's do some bold picks again. I'm going to say Yuki Tsunoda will get some points at his home Grand Prix, a top 10 finish obviously. Don't know why that needed clarifying. Anyway, ignoring all the other predictions I've made, I'll say that one driver from either Red Bull, Ferrari or McLaren fails to finish the race. And perhaps the boldest one of them all, maybe even the boldest prediction I've ever made, I'm going to say that Logan Sargent finally out-qualifies Alex Albon on Saturday.
No,
although I'm not really sure I believe that's going to happen. You never know and all that though. That is it then for the Japanese Grand Prix preview, but don't forget to let me know your thoughts and your predictions ahead of the weekend in the comment section down below. Now, I will be back soon with some more content, so don't forget to join us live at 7 PM BST on Monday for the Japan debrief. And just to let you know, on the subject of the debriefs, they will continue until the Monday after the race in Miami, and then I'll make a call on whether it's Monday debriefs or Sunday reactions for the rest of the year. Thank you, by the way, everybody, for your feedback on those streams. It really helps me make these decisions. In the meantime, though, if you did enjoy this one, then please do leave a like, as it really does help the channel out, and consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any future videos or streams. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.
Yeah. Oh. Wait. Fuck me. I'll never change that back, but... Oh. That I didn't...
And perhaps the boldest one of them all...
No, that I didn't... What did he say?
To finish the race. And perhaps the boldest one of them all. Maybe even to a higher finish.
Let's see. Okay. Pole, Leclerc, Verstappen, win, Leclerc, and Sainz podium, fastest lap time. Oh shit. I would say maybe pole Leclerc, but Lando Norris win, Leclerc and Verstappen podium. Fastest lap maybe Lando Norris, we say. Mercedes will not. Fifth, but no, they will DNF, so Vista Cash Up or B Formula 1 team will be fifth best.
It should be a fun fight there, though. And finally for today, let's do some bold picks again. I'm going to say Yuki Tsunoda will get some points at his home Grand Prix, a top 10 finish, obviously. Don't know why that needed clarifying. Anyway, ignoring all the other predictions I've made, I'll say that one driver from either Red Bull, Ferrari or McLaren fails to finish the race. And perhaps the boldest one of them all, maybe even the boldest prediction I've ever made, I'm going to say that Logan Sargent finally out-qualifies Alex Albon on Saturday. Although I'm not really sure I believe that's going to happen. You never know and all that, though. That is it then for the Japanese Grand Prix preview, but don't forget to let me know your thoughts and your predictions ahead of the weekend in the comments section down below. Now, I will be back soon with some more content, so don't forget to join us live at 7 PM BST on Monday for the Japan...
Oh shit, I already listened to this. Yeah. So, let's see how many... Where do we have the training? In 5 hours and 50 minutes. It will be the first training in... Oh, I put the glass here. And there should also look. Is this the... I think this is the second last pickaxe. But we will see. Oh shit, I have a chest. Either way, we're going down. Let's see. Oh no, is this the last one? And then it's time to repairing all the pickaxes. Okay, so tomorrow will be mining until that happens. Oh, we got some copper. What more did I want to look at? The fishes. Did I get any new fishes? No, and the blue tang is probably not a new fish. Blue tang, blue tang. Wait, what? Dash a pink, dash a blue. Black tang. The stuff with one color should be maybe placed. So that one we can take out. Okay, so we didn't have blue tang, but let's see, Betty, purple and black, purple and black, purple and black. Black and brown is almost close. Stripy grey and brown. Grey and purple. Grey and brown. That one we can go back with. And that will we go back with. And then we end it. God damn it. Wrong place. That must be the black thing. Oh shit! Oh wait, could this be the fishes that I already picked up, but they were... Well, I hope it is, because I will leave them. And then it's just going... It's going back. Okay, let's see. It should be on the left side now. No. I wonder if I should change that. No, I can't. Bum, 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 bum. Let's see, first we want to pick that there, and then we put that there. Now we're done, and then we can That's done, and now we can end it. Yeah. So tomorrow, in 5 hours, Formula 1 will be back. Done, and hopefully Lando Norris win, but who knows if that will ever happen. But we can, let's see if we go to... If we go to this... Yeah, Max Verstappen will probably still lead the championship. But who knows? If Max Verstappen have a bad race again and Sergio Perez have a bad race than Charles Leclerc, maybe Sergio can... Man, he just need 5 more points and then he could lead the championship. And yeah, hopefully Ricciardo and Yuki Tsunoda will, and Alex Albon will a good race. So Alex Albon can get his first points outside Ricciardo, and Yuki Tsunoda get more points and no more points to Haas, hopefully. But yeah, hopefully Lando Norris win, Max Verstappen P2 and Charles Leclerc P3. And oh yeah, it says in 5 hours and 60 minutes. But until then.